Elizabeth Noyce, and you're listening to Supergirl Radio.
I think the CW are just trying to win the time slot war with Supergirl Radio.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom. Because
really? She looks like a boss in this coat.
Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. It's so fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Welcome to Supergirl Radio, your source for all things related to the CW Supergirl TV series and the character of Kara Zor-El. My name is Rebecca Johnson.
I'm Morgan Glennon.
And for this episode of the podcast, we are live and wired with our special guest, Anna, to discuss and review the Supergirl Season 6 episode titled Mixie in the Middle. Welcome to Supergirl Radio, Anna. We are so excited to have you. And I know people in the chat and our listeners are going to be so pumped to have you as well, because everybody's such a big fan of your snap judgments. So thank you for being on the podcast with us and talking about Supergirl.
I'm excited to be here.
Well, we are excited to have you. And since you're a first-time guest on Supergirl Radio, one of the things that we like to ask people is how they met the character of Supergirl. So do you remember the first time you ever heard that there was a Supergirl character?
Yeah, so when I was younger, I didn't know much about superheroes, but I do remember in elementary school, my first introduction to Superman was actually, there was a classmate of mine. He always wore a Superman sweatshirt with the logo, and I remember the logo on his shirt. And this particular classmate would like to chase all the girls at recess and throw things at them. So when we would see him and his logo, we were like, oh, danger. So when I was younger, I used to associate the symbol with a villain. I for the longest time didn't think Superman was a hero. I thought it was a villain because that association with that that classmate.
That classmate was like Bizarro Superman to you. Yeah, it was like the dark Superman.
Wow. I'm glad that seems to have turned around for you, though.
Yeah, it wasn't until later on when I was a fan of Grey's Anatomy and Kyler Lee went to Supergirl. I decided to watch it for her, and I was like, oh, Supergirl's actually good. I like Supergirl. But sometimes when I still see that symbol, sometimes that there's that fear that goes through me, like I'm going to get chased again.
Well, hopefully, and watching enough Supergirl will start to help with that a little bit. That's actually interesting. The Grey's Anatomy connection. You're the second person in 2 months who has told me they started watching Supergirl because of Kyler Lee. So that is really, really interesting. Very cool. Well, thank you for sharing your story, Anna. And we'll get some more of your Supergirl thoughts in a minute. But before we do that, we need to catch up on
the news.
So we had another wedding. That's the news. I'm not saying that the Supergirl writers are trying to show me up, but calm down. The wedding of the season was mine, Jessica Queller. Supergirl. But also congratulations, obviously. Supergirl showrunner Jessica Queller recently married Bill Prady, or Prady? I don't know. Who may be familiar to fans of The Big Bang Theory because he was co-creator of the series. So we want to say congratulations, and not a jealous way at all, to not a stealing my spotlight way at all, to Jessica Queller and Bill Prady. I think they got married at the New York Public Library or something like that, which is a pretty cool. It's a pretty cool venue. I can't throw any shade on that, having looked at approximately 20,000 venues myself. That's a good one.
I did see some books in one of the pictures, or something that looked like a library. So I sort of surmised that too, but it's good to have confirmation. That's probably where it was. That makes sense.
It's a cool venue. It's you're always surrounded by books. So if the wedding gets a little bit boring, you've got stuff to do.
you got a backup plan. Morgan, do you want to tell people about some Supergirl connections to the wedding in there?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I was like, I wonder if some people from Supergirl came. And yes, of course they did. Betty Buckley was at the wedding and she played Sam's mother in season 3, I think.
Yes.
And
she also played the owl in Nia's Dream Realm.
No way.
Yeah. She was
Broadway legend Betty Buckley was an owl telling her, "Don't do it." Great use of her talents, and maybe more important to me personally is that Pencil Skirt was there. Pencil Skirt, who has a name, but will be forever to me. Pencil Skirt.
Yeah, I mean, she's Pencil Skirt. So there might have been more Supergirl cast members and crew members there. We only have the photo evidence of the 2 that I could find anyway.
I wish that Katie McGraw had been there, because like there would have been no photos of her. She would have just been in a corner reading, like not party. Oh my God, that's so funny. Paula said the same thing. She said, got to tie her to the chair so she doesn't wander off.
Yeah, Katie McGraw would have devoured those books if she had been in that library. So that's really funny. Well, congratulations to Jessica and Bill. I'm on a first name basis with them. I'm just I'm just gonna assume like they're cool with me saying Jessica and Bill. So that's awesome. Well, I'm glad we had another wedding to talk about on Supergirl Radio.
Not stealing my thunder at all.
Not at all. All right. Well, that's really the only news that we have this week. So I guess let's go ahead and start talking about the episode titled Mixie in the Middle that aired this week. This was season 6, episode 11. And here is the official description. It reads, quote, Supergirl and team must stop Nixley from vanquishing a familiar face from Supergirl's past, Mr. Mxyzptlk. And I'm saying Mxyzptlk because that seems to be the pronunciation that the show goes with. The official pronunciation is Mxyzptlk. That's what Bill Meeks told me. There's various ways to pronounce it. I used to say Mxyzptlk, but it sounds like the official name is Mxyzptlk, but the show says Mxyzptlk, so I'm going to go with that. Or you could just call him Mixie. That's fine. That too.
I usually just go with pronouncing it wrong, and then I always know I'm okay.
That's fine too. Pronounce it in the Morgan pronunciation. The
Exactly.
Yeah, that's totally fine. So Mr. Mxyzptlk, guest star Thomas Lennon, is coming back from Supergirl's past. Mixie returns and explains Nixley's dark history to the super team in the best way he knows how, in song form. Meanwhile, Lena visits her mother's birthplace in Ireland, which no, that's not right. That's not right.
Wait, what was our description writer's name? Veronica.
Veronica.
Veronica. Listen, Veronica, it's been a long time on this show for her. And it's like, it's 6 years in. And listen, we're not getting her best work anymore. She's tired. She's thinking about the next gig. She's like, everyone's got the accents. It's Ireland.
So I guess they did. Maybe they changed it. But this is the one I pulled from Supergirl.tv. So I guess we could correct it for Veronica to say Lena visits her mother's birthplace in Newfoundland, eager to dig into
Ireland,
eager to dig into her past, but is shocked by the small town's icy reception towards her. Unquote. Oh, so this was actually a pretty jam-packed episode full of story from all kinds of angles. So Anna, I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are about Mixie. So we got to see Mixie in season 2 and in season 5, and now he's come back in season 6. So what did you think about Mixie's return here in this episode and going up against another imp named Nixley? I mean, I want to say Mixie and Nixie, but it's Mixie and Nixley. Different names.
Yeah, that extra L's confusing.
So Anna, what did you think about Mixie in this episode?
I thought he was interesting when the cliffhanger at the end. I was like very intrigued, like I think you guys were talking about last time. And then when I found out they had history together and there was a betrayal, I was like, yes, more betrayal is more interesting. I I sometimes forget that he's the same one from when Monel was on the show because I think it was a different actor.
It was.
And he was a bit more rude. I think he was trying to get Kara to marry him.
Right.
So he seems a little bit nicer. So at first I liked him, and then I found out he betrayed her and against the patriarchy. Apparently that was the more like what they were telling us is bad this episode is the patriarchy. So made me dislike him a little bit, but it's okay. He's sitting in that crystal ball like thinking about what he did. So
So you're on Nixley's side in this.
Of course, 100%.
Oh, interesting. I do like Nixley. I don't know if I'm on her side to like control the world, which seems like is her big plan, to master everything in the universes, the multiple and plural universes. But she is very fun, so I can understand why you would be on Nixley's side. So, Morgan, what did you think about the return of Mxyzptlk in this episode?
I was really excited at the return of Mixie. He's always a fun character. I'm sorry I was a little distracted. There was what sounded like horror movie music happening in the background, but I looked around and I saw nothing, and it turned out that the TV just went idle and started like playing a Netflix promo, and I guess it was for something spooky. And so I was like I was texting Mike going like, whatever you're watching, it's too loud. He's like, I'm not watching anything. I was like, there's a So sorry, I was like, okay, well, you might catch my ghost murder live on camera. And no, I liked Mixie being back. I think he's such a fun character whenever he shows up, and I like the that they brought him back because obviously Nixley is from a fifth dimensional imp, and so is he, and so they have the idea of them having this like past where they were friends with each other, and then he betrayed her. I thought was really interesting. It was juicy. Like the thing I like most about Nixley is that like her she's not a great person. She's not a great person. Okay, but you can kind of understand where she's coming from. Like I kind of like even Kara's like, yeah, no, that stinks. Like what happened to you? Like do we have to send Nixley to the Phantom Zone? Like it seems like she's just misunderstood. And it's like, is she? She's trying to kill like a lot of people, probably. And like, gathering up her Rubik's Cube to gotta catch them all or whatever. By the way, I have a lot of questions about that. Like whenever we want to get to that. But
well, I mean, we can get to it anytime. I have lots of thoughts about the totems.
Okay. But I think that giving her kind of like a conflicted backstory where she's been wronged is an interesting way to bring like this character in and kind of make you feel for them even when you're like, oh yeah, she's pretty evil. Which I like that. I like that there's layers to her character.
She's really hung up on betrayal. She mentions it all the time.
She has been betrayed so much.
Well, that's true. She actually has. Part of I shouldn't say part of me. All of me, has an issue with her saying, talking about her betrayal all the time. But when I thought about it in this episode, I was like, oh, she's had to think about this for 300 years. That's probably something that would continually eat at you and eat at you and eat at you. And especially since Mixie seemed to be on her side at one point, and then he testified against her at their trial, which is
cool.
Which is something that happens in the fifth dimension. That happens on Superman the animated series, where we see judges judging Mxyzptlk. So that is part of fifth dimensional cultures, that they do have a legal system, I guess. So we should ask the legal consultants about the fifth dimension and their laws.
I feel like Nixley would definitely be one of those people who was like, no, I'll defend myself. Like, no, girl, no.
You need counsel.
No, like Lex, like, move out of the way. I'm gonna monologue. Like, no, that's not gonna. Now you seem crazier.
I didn't think you were crazy before. Now you're definitely
but
crazy.
Now we're a little worried. Nixley's like, no, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I've got this.
So since Morgan, you mentioned the totems. Anna, do you have any thoughts about the totems and how that's going to play out on the season? Do you think they're just going to be going around looking for totems?
I wonder about that. She mentioned something about the courage totem allowing her to control fear, so it seems to be like opposite of what the totem is as well. And when she was so they were listing off the totems at one point, and one of them that caught my attention was the love totem. And if you can control the opposite, maybe you can stop people from, caring about each other. That could have some interesting implications if they decide to devote an episode to that. But I wonder if they're going to get all of them, because they listed off a lot of totems, and I'm not sure how many episodes are left.
It doesn't seem like there's enough for all those totems, but what do I know? Like, eventually, maybe they put them all together into like one super totem, like they like Power Rangers.
So I'll list the totems, and we can have a conversation about the totems if you would like. Okay, so the totems are as follows. So I guess to give people some context, if they haven't watched the episode, but you should watch the episode and then listen to us, or you could just not watch the episode and just listen to this. That's totally fine too. But so the totems are. I assume these totems are the scattered pieces throughout the known universe after blowing up what's called the All Stone. I tried to look up the All Stone in DC Comics, but I could not find a DC Comics All Stone. So I think this might be a new concept in the DC universe. Yeah. So this seems to be new for the universe. So here are the official. This is the official list of the totems: Truth, Destiny, Love, Dreams, Hope, Humanity, and Courage. So a couple of those stuck out to me right away. So obviously Hope. And then Dreams. So I'm thinking that the totems are somehow associated with characters on the show.
Oh no, Rebecca, that's crazy. You're talking crazy talk. I just kept, so when they started talking about the totems, I was like, okay, so we're just stealing Legends of Tomorrow's thing, which is just to come up with a useless, what we call on the Legends of Tomorrow podcast, a Rubik's Cube. Basically, it's just a bunch of pieces of nothing that they have to go spend the entire season collecting, like their Pokemon. But these totems, and there were even totems on Legends of Tomorrow. Like a whole season was about totems. But I digress. But the totems really confused me, because they aligned so nearly with the Paragons in Crisis. And so I was like, wait, yes, thank you.
Electra at WWF says something similar. The totems sound like a mix of the totems in Legends of Tomorrow and the Paragons in Crisis on Infinite Earths.
So it just made me think, like, is this another like post-Crisis thing where post-Crisis, the Paragons have become like little tchotchkes scattered around the world or something? Like, what happened? Like, were we supposed to like gather that connection, or can the Supergirl writers only think of like 6 adjectives?
So here's my thing. So I wanted to pick y'all's brain about this, because obviously if they're connected to characters, which is my speculation, I could be totally wrong, but Hope is obviously Kara. Dreams, I would think, would obviously be Mia.
Wouldn't it be a twist if it was somebody else?
But dreams are my thing. So I was kind of guessing at the other ones, trying to figure out which character would go. So we got Truth. I don't know who would be.
Would that maybe the Martian Manhunter? Because he sometimes, when they remember, he can he can
find the truth through his.
He can find the truth,
his mind powers. Yeah. I also thought maybe Andrea, since she works at a news organization.
Does she?
I don't know. Also, it could be Lena, who found out some truth. Last season
is one of the totems just like random witchcraft? Because that's hers.
That's definitely hers. There's also Destiny, which I thought maybe could be Lena as well. Finding out that you have a destiny that you didn't know about. But I don't know who else would be there. Let's see, Love. That could be several characters. It could be Kelly. Could be Alex. It could be Jean if Magan ever shows back up. So it could be several. It could be Brainy. Let's see. We have Humanity, which could, I guess, be either Kelly or Alex. I don't know who else would be there. And then Courage. Does could be any of them, I guess. So
They're all pretty brave.
So I think we could maybe associate those with different characters, but I don't know if that's really how they're going to go. We'll have more of this in the feedback section, a different theory about how these connect. So we can hold off until then when we get there.
I was just so thrown off by them being so close to the Paragons in the Crisis. Like, if it's not related to Crisis, why use almost the exact same titles?
Yeah, there was a Paragon of Courage. There was a Paragon of Hope.
Destiny was, I think, Sarah Lance.
And then there was a Paragon of Courage. I think that woman was Courage.
Yeah.
Was Kara the Paragon of Hope? I feel like that was...
Yeah, Kara was Hope. I think Sarah Lance was Destiny, right?
And there was a Truth. Because it was initially Kingdom Come Brandon Routh, and then Lex Luthor took over. So it could... And there was Humanity. Because Ryan Choi was Humanity.
Yes. See what I mean?
I think the only one that's not Crisis on Infinite Earths was Dreams.
And they just threw that one in for Dreamer.
So it is related to the Paragon.
So, but it just like after he said all of the different totems, I was waiting for somebody to say, "Oh, like the Paragons," and no one said it. And I was like, "Am I not supposed to be making this connection?" Because I finally remembered a thing that happened on this show, and you're telling me it doesn't matter?
And they can't say they don't remember Crisis because after Crisis happened, they all talked about it. So we know Crisis happened. It's not one of those post-Crisis things that they just change. We know that they.
Oh, Donna says in the comments that Barry was love. So there was a love too.
Yes, there was a love. Yeah, I think they're all there except for Dreams.
Yeah, apparently Dreams was instead of Honor. That's what the chat is telling us. And John was Honor in the... Yeah. But I just don't... So if it doesn't relate to Crisis, then they couldn't have just picked other words?
I mean,
Rebecca, I'm struggling.
It's now that because I made the connection that it was kind of like the Paragons because I remembered Hope and Courage. But now that we've gone through all of them and named all the characters that were associated with those, it is definitely ripping off the Paragons in Crisis. So now I don't know what to make of that. I still think they're going to be associated with characters somehow. Because if you're going to rip off Crisis on Infinite Earths, you might as well go all the way. You might as well go all the way. So yeah, well, I guess we'll see in future episodes, which I'm kind of hoping that this kind of continues on because that means Nixley will stay around. And that's really all I want for the rest of Supergirl is for Nixley to stay around.
Okay, I have a great question from the chat. Maybe
from a user named Not Sure.
Not Sure. And I'm not sure either. So I just want to let's just get it. Not Sure says, could Nixley be in the Phantom Zone for 300 plus years if Kara's mom made it? Last time I checked, Kara's mom was not 300 plus years old.
Oh boy.
Yep.
That is
just got to stare. I don't.
Did
what's the answer to that?
Did she make the Phantom Zone, or did she make a prison in the Phantom Zone?
Oh, maybe she made. Maybe that's the distinction. Maybe she was just like project manager on like the building with the storage units. Maybe
she was the architect of the building with the storage unit. They're like, no, my mom. We know this because my mom built this place, not the Phantom Zone, mind you. This specific building.
It's got like a Laura Zor-El like on a plaque outside one of the buildings. Oh yeah. Okay. I think that's probably the best distinction that we can make if we had to guess.
Leslie does point out that time passes differently in the Phantom Zone.
That's very differently, though.
It's quite different. Laura's looking great for 300 plus years old. And you know who's really looking great?
Jason Bear.
Jason Bear keeping it tight, 300 plus.
Yeah, so I think if we had to guess, that's probably the distinction that makes the most sense. All right. So, so what do we think is going to happen with Mixie, Anna? He's now stuck in Nixley's crystal ball, as it were. It's funny that there's a crystal ball on the same episode where Lena just kind of learns that she is partially maybe a witch. So Anna, what do you think is going to happen with Mixie? Is he going to get out of there?
I wonder. I usually only watch the episodes once, and sometimes I have trouble following the show's logic. Why was she in the dream world? Why is he needed in the crystal? I think it had to do with the bloodline. He mentioned being the last descendant. So I think he's needed in there for her to find something. So either she's going to find everything and then she'll just release him to be nice, or they'll save him. But I wonder about it because I don't understand the logic behind it. So I'm a bit confused.
I think he's powering it. I think she needed him to
I
like
think he's
power
the battery.
Yeah. So
he's her AA battery.
So Morgan, do you think what is Mixie doing in that ball while this is happening?
I think it's got to be pretty boring in there. Although if you have like a front row seat to whatever Nixley's doing, that's got to be a good time. And I hope that she like has a popcorn machine in there for him because I mean, strap in. I wouldn't mind taking a little vacation and just kind of watching what Nixley's up to. I think that'd be a fun time. Like, what is she doing here?
What is she gonna do next?
She's playing checkers and all kinds of checkers and chess. Like, what is she doing? I think that he's probably, if he's conscious, he's just kind of along for the ride, just watching it, seeing what's going on. I don't know. Poor Mixie that he's stuck in that crystal orb.
Were you shocked, either of you, when they sort of, because I guess I should confess my shock is that I thought the ice cage from the previous episode was related to Maeve. And it turned out that no, Mixie was the one in that. So did that seem to be like a twist to y'all?
Yeah, I was surprised. I see in the chat. So I actually needed this as well. So Paula says he's the only descendant of the imp who created the Allstone, the fifth dimensional imp who created the Allstone. So Nixley needs him to power the orb, which will lead her to the totems.
I laughed so hard when they said what the name of that imp was, Jared.
Yeah, it's such a normal sounding name. when the rest of them are like Burpix and Mixhezpitalik, and I tried so hard to listen to Thomas Lennon pronounce Nixley's full name. It's like Nixglevspittlins. I don't know. I need to keep practicing.
It was intense.
He did it so perfectly though, so perfectly. But yeah, so Jared didn't quite seem like an imp name. I think they ran out of creativity on those crazy names. It did make me feel some empathy and sympathy for the closed captioning people when I was watching the episode later on closed captioning and seeing all those very complicated names with all the consonants.
That must have been brutal.
Somebody
was transcribing and crying at the same time.
They were doing a great job. They deserve all the praise for that. So there is a potential spelling of Jared in the chat. JRDXPLXKJISBHSIDKY. There's a Y at the end of that. So we're going to go with that.
Yeah, that's definitely Jared's full name. It's a silent Y. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're just going to assume that it's a more complicated name. Yeah, so Nixley is still hanging out with her buddy Mitch, so that's continuing on. Nixley also, I guess this would be a good place to talk about the things that Nixley was doing in this episode. So, Anna, what did you think about the Catzilla, as it were, the giant cat? She created a dragon. So what did you think about Nixley's magical powers that she showcased in this episode?
I loved them. I think the cat was the turning point when I went fully on her side. I love Tara. I love Alex. But the cat, there's never... A cat person can never be truly bad. If they have a cat, I'm on their side.
I agree. She started bringing me around to her side, too. I was like, isn't she a little misunderstood? Much like the garbage monster was? We sure she's bad?
Yeah. So Morgan, what did you think about the giant cat that came through and how they defeated the giant cat?
This episode was so unhinged. I can't even. I was trying to just because Mike is really behind now, and so I was trying to explain to him like the things that happened in this episode, and I was like, well, there was a giant cat, and they sort of defeated it because Supergirl used her heat vision as a laser, and then the cat went to play with it, and then there was a kryptonite dragon, sure, and there was Katie McGraw in a wig that was definitely eating her face. That wig had plans to just devour her whole. Oh God. Oh, it hurts to look at. It's like a solar eclipse. You really shouldn't look directly at it. The wig is just so bad. And then Lena's a witch. And sure. And
when you say it like that in a list, it does seem a little ridiculous.
And Mike was like, and this was a good episode? And I was like, oh, it was great. It was great. This episode truly was like, how can I be the most? And it hit every target. So I'm proud of it is what I am. I'm proud of this episode. No, the cat thing was maybe one of my favorite like gags that Supergirl has ever done, where it's like, we're just going to do something incredibly weird and like, people will watch it or they won't. Whatever. Last season, and the giant cat. I mean, listen. If you had a giant cat that was like destroying a city, and you had the ability to make a giant laser pointer, that's gonna work. As a person who has cats, that's gonna work.
Yeah, cats do like a laser pointer.
When
go ahead, Anne.
Alex shot something at it and it caught it in its paws. I was like, that was funny.
Yeah, I was like, Alex, geez, you like got out a weapon from your thing and like shot a cat. That's intense.
Alex is like cold blooded. She's like, all right, I'm just gonna have to shoot this giant cat. And everybody's like, Alex, no.
She must be a dog person. I think Alex likes dogs.
You know what? I believe it now. I just like that the cat was like, not today. SWAT. It would have been great if the cat like just went up to a building and slowly made eye contact with all the Super Friends and slowly tipped it over. What now? What are you gonna do?
Even as a giant cat, it would be very cat-like. Now, this was not a new concept. I would love to, grant the writers in their creativity, but this is not new for Mixyazpidalik stories. If you watched or listened to our character spotlight on Mixyazpidalik, you would have remembered the Justice League Action episode Captain Bamboozle, when a similar thing happened when Mixie created a large giant cat to fight the Justice League. And they did something similar where Batman had a bat laser and used it to play with the giant cat.
So good. I'm sorry, that's always going to be really funny.
So this was it was a ripoff of Justice League Action, but I actually appreciate that because it means that they have done their research and they've paid attention to Mixie's character history, and that's one of my favorite versions of Mixie. Actually, it is the oh my gosh, Gilbert Gottfried. He does the voice. He does the voice in Superman the animated series and Justice League Action, and he's like my Mixie. He's my preferred Mixie. So I enjoyed that episode. So if you've never watched it, Justice League Action, Captain Bamboozle, you will see something similar with a giant cat. So that was pretty fun. The imps really got to show off in this episode. They really got their magical powers on, which I thought was really cool.
I like when they get to do like really big comic booky things and they're like, you know what, this show's gonna be ridiculous sometimes and let's just go with it. Like I appreciate that more than when they're like, no, we gotta be serious. Somebody open a paper. Somebody open a newspaper, ripped from the headlines. Let's rip it right from the headlines. Like I'd rather them rip it from the comic book source material and be like, okay, well now there's a kryptonite dragon and his breath is kryptonite fire. Like, all right, sure, cool. Where does the kryptonite dragon come from? Does Krypton have dragons? Is it a dragon made of shards of Krypton? Am I thinking about this too much? Yeah, sure. I'm along for the ride.
Yeah, I love it when the show leans into that kind of stuff. And there were a there were a lot. I shouldn't demean the show by saying there was logical things. I meant to say a lot of magical things in this episode because we also did we got to go on a road trip with Lena Luthor to Newfoundland to discover her roots and her family history. So Anna, what did you think about Lena Luthor's story in this episode?
Loved it. It was one of my favorite parts. She showed up and I think they played different music and it just felt like a movie. And
it did a little bit, yeah.
I have so many thoughts. I don't want to talk too much, but
no, please.
One of my favorite parts was when she shows up at the inn, and at first the innkeeper is very nice to her, and then she says her mother's name. And I love how the innkeeper tells Lena her room has been double booked without even pretending to look at the computer. She was just like, it's double booked, and yeah, I just laugh so much. Or, because that's what Canadians are known for, being mean. So
this is the only aisle in Canada where everybody is very mean. It's because they're all Irish. So, they're a little mad,
It is true that there is a big Irish population in Newfoundland. So that is pretty accurate.
It's funny because I was watching the episode last night and I was like, all right, like this is ridiculous. Like, clearly they wanted it to be Ireland, and for some reason they decided it was going to be Canada. But now everybody is Irish in Canada, and so I like paused it and did some Google searching, and it was like my Google search was like Newfoundland Irish ? And and then I got like a bunch of articles that were like travel, don't call it Canada, call it Ireland. And I was like, oh my God, was this accurate? And so I feel like I have to like preemptively apologize for like, I was going to dunk on the show, but it turns out that there is a very high Irish population in Newfoundland. So who knows?
Yeah, apparently, according to Electra WWF, Newfoundland is super Irish. So that is good to know. So, Morgan, what are your thoughts on Lena Luthor really discovering where she's come from?
Well, I mean, I was a little disappointed, I'll be honest, when it like going back east wasn't going to like the East Coast, and we didn't get the gritty Mayor of Easttown.
No Delco accent.
Nobody asked her if she wanted water ice. Nobody took her to a Wawa to get a Thanksgiving sandwich. So I was a little disappointed there, but I did like Anna's right. Like all the Lena scenes, it was like we were in some sort of like, I don't know, like some drama that where somebody's going back home to discover her mother, but like everybody is like super mean to her for no apparent reason. But nobody wants to tell her anything that happened. She's like, I don't really know my mother. Could you like tell me, like she died when I was young. Could you tell me why she's a bad person? They're like, no. And then they cough witch. And then like, well, that's a giveaway, I think. But no, and I also, my other favorite is that she calls Andrea Rojas, who I guess gave her the Catco jet. Like Lena couldn't just fly first class. Like, is Lena poor now?
I think Lena's poor now. I think after
she's not.
I think after the Lex trial, she became poor.
You know what she could do? She could sell like 3 outfits and she wouldn't be poor anymore. You know that everything she wears is like, every item of clothing is $1,000. It's like, oh, this button's $5,000.
Doesn't she have shoes that have like daggers in them? So I feel like that would go for a pretty high dollar amount.
I wondered why she didn't have Kara fly there, because Kara went to, I think, France in that episode where she got Lena lunch from all of her favorite places. She like went to Europe so she couldn't go to like Newfoundland. Like, yeah. I think she should have had Kara fly her there, but I guess she had luggage.
Yeah, if I was best friends with Supergirl, I'd be like, hey, can you just fly me real quick? I don't have the money for it. Can you just fly me over there?
And Kara like knows that she's on this like walkabout to find out more about her mother, and like is instead like, no, Lena, go fly coach. Like, listen. If there was ever a reason to do another supervillain turn, that would be it. Like, I'm like, no, I've now experienced first class, and if people were like, no, I'm sorry, you can't sit here. Like, you have to go back to coach. I'm like, this is probably my villain origin story. next to like 3 man spreaders, and you're like, please, I just want an inch. But like, yeah, no, it's crazy that she couldn't just be like, hey, Car, could you like give me a ride? And like, the car could be there and back in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I don't think that'd be a problem. Even if it was, even if she had luggage, she could fly Lena over. Lena could get, start doing what she's doing. Car could fly back, get the luggage, bring it back over, be finished.
Yeah, and like it could explain why she ends up in Newfoundland instead of Ireland. Car's like, ooh, my bad. Oops.
Took you to the wrong place.
Oh, well. But my favorite thing is like when she's talking to Andrea and she's like, I found your mom's other friend, the one who's alive and doesn't hate you. And here, I'm going to give you the coordinates. And the coordinates is just a tree trunk in the woods. What? No one thought that was weird. When you pull up Google Maps, right? And you're looking at your destination. And it's just, the pin goes, you zoom in, and the pin is on a tree trunk in the woods. You don't think that's gotta be wrong?
She still went anyway.
I literally rewound because I was like, wait, none of this makes sense. What's happening? Wait, what's happening?
Yeah, my favorite thing about Andrea when she had that phone call with Lena, she told Lena, you are your mother's spitting image. And
I that's the first of many times that I lost it in that episode. Because her mom is just Katie McGraw in a really bad wig. Like that, I can't even express. Like, if you didn't see the episode, if you haven't seen the episode yet, I cannot even express what this wig is. Like, what this wig is about, what this wig is doing. The wig is like, it's not even on her head. That's, I think, the more important thing. It's like precariously perched. It's like if you were wearing a jaunty hat and you wore it a little ajar, like a little sideways. That's what that wig is. Like, she's not wearing the wig. The wig is wearing her.
So do we all agree that the wig is wiggy, or is there a work in it in here? Are we all what does the chat say? Katie McGraw's Elizabeth Walsh wig. Is it working it or wiggy? Let us know your thoughts in the chat.
I also had another like I'm too online moment where they were like, oh yes, Elizabeth was never in the picture. She was always the one taking them. And I was like, much like Katie McGraw? Because I follow pics by Katie McGraw, and the whole concept is that she's never in pictures. She always takes them. And I was like,
The other interesting thing is I think Katie's middle name is Elizabeth.
no.
Oh, is it really?
I hope so now.
90% sure that that's true.
Yeah, we got a lot of wiggies in the chat. Just want to share these for posterity. There's a hard wiggy from Paula.
Wiggy.
So
Did anybody think it was working it?
I
I
like
think
the wig. I thought it was
There
funny.
you go. Anna liked it.
you know what? I mean, the wig makes. I'll give a defense of the wig. The wig at
Really?
least. Well, I mean, I'll play devil's advocate on this. I'll play devil's advocate. It at least makes her look similar to Lena, but different.
That's true.
She does. She is the spitting image of Lena, but she looks different enough that you might think if you really weren't. If you were just kind of barely squinting, you might think they're two different people. So I guess
Lena thought Kara and Supergirl were 2 different people.
right, yeah. So if you couldn't,
We have a guest star, and it's Beaker. And Beaker, I want to ask you, what did you think about Beaker? You gotta look at the camera. What did you think about the giant cat? Was it mean or was it nice that they did the laser? Well, Beaker doesn't want to really weigh in on this right now. It was very traumatic for Beaker, and he doesn't want to talk about it. He's like, I saw it. I can't talk about it. I'm still too fresh.
all I saw was
respect
a head. All I saw was like a head pop up into the window. That was so funny.
He always comes from like this close and then just like right across. He's never a normal distance from the cat. He always looks right into it. Like I swear, if he was like a person, I'd be like a Kardashian mom, and he would be on reality TV by now.
Oh man, that was funny. Yeah. So I guess we're all suggesting that the wig maybe could be better. I mean, it's fine. But maybe it could be better. But Morgan, I'm curious about your thoughts about the turn that Lena is now. She has ancestry from witches. What do you think about this whole time we've been talking about Lena on the show? Mm-hmm. Did you think that was where that was heading?
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely not. This came from nowhere. I knew they were probably going to do something with her mom because of her like fear dream. And last season, she, the Akrata necklace was her mother's, and it is powerful. It's magic. And this season does seem like the villains are magic. So I think having a random witch on their team suddenly is going to work in their favor. Is this where Lena's story has been organically building this whole time? No. It's a really weird choice for the character where it's like, suddenly it's like, you're a witch, Lena. And I wish like it had come along with like an owl dropping off a letter to her. That would have been pretty good.
Through a fireplace somehow.
A gentle giant stoops down into the tree trunk and is like, hello.
He's like, you're a wizard, Lena.
I'm here to take you to Hogwarts. It was just so straight. So I still listen. I've moved past the wig, but can we talk about?
Have you?
I haven't. And I never will. But can we talk about like the weird? It was like a weird, like a Lilith Fair, like music video that was like in the middle, like it was like a '90s girl band.
It looked like the Charmed opening title.
So like as soon as I finished watching the episode, I was like, did somebody put the Charmed music behind, like the Charmed theme song behind that like music video yet? And of course today somebody has already done it. And
really,
yeah, I retweeted it on my profile, so
amazing.
Go look at Mojotastic.
I'll put it in the show notes.
It's so good. And it's so good because it literally looks like a TV show opening from the 90s. Like everybody is like looking into the wind and like looking at a tree. Like you could really believe that they had just taken some mushrooms and wandered into the forest. They were like, oh my God, it's a leaf. It's a leaf. Everybody's in flannel. Everybody's like looking at each other, but they're all like equidistance apart, kind of like holding hands. It looked like, I was like, is this a Tori Amos video? What's happening here?
Go ahead, Anna.
The first time I saw that, I just was laughing the whole time. I don't know if it was the fact that with Katie McGraw in a wig or the fact that at one point she sniffed a branch.
Yes!
And I don't know. I think I loved how that was how they view witchcraft. It's just smelling trees and like holding hands. I didn't see any magic at all. It was just like you were saying. It looked like they were wandering around, having taken some drugs. I don't know if we're allowed to say in the podcast mushrooms. But it was very strange. They looked very happy though. I like that.
They looked like they were having a great time. They were loving life. They were all in their they were all in their flannels. They were all just kind of traipsing through the woods. Oh, look, it's a branch. Oh, it smells like bark. I just also like that it was sepia tone for no reason whatsoever. It's like it
was a memory. Yeah, it was a memory.
The past. Everything about that segment was so funny.
I will say two things. I'm sorry, Anne. Go ahead.
I was going to say the part where they had their hands up. It reminded me of Dora the Explorer with swiping.
Oh,
remember the part where they set the building on fire? They all three had their hands up in the air, like in a step sign.
Yes.
Interesting.
That's funny.
Yeah, so that part of the story did kind of make me laugh because Lena was so disheartened that her mother had killed someone. as a witch, and she's very upset about it. And then she goes to see one of her mom's witchy friends, and she says, "But Lena, no, your mom didn't. She had the right motive. She meant to do the right thing." And I was like, "Yeah, but she still murdered a man in a house fire. Like that doesn't take away the fact that she killed a dude. Like just because she went in with good intentions, doesn't matter."
She was like, "Oops, that was a my bad. That was sort of like a oopsies on my part." You wander through the woods, you sniff a couple of branches, you just you get a little high on the power of being in nature and just kind of sitting around talking to your friends. It was really funny. And I also liked that afterwards the lady was like, "Yes, and they said that they were gonna stone me." I was like, what year is it? What's happening in Newfoundland?
Well, they seem so surprised that the town didn't want us around. I was like, yeah, because you set fire to a dude's house and murdered him. Yeah, they're not gonna want you around. Especially if you didn't have control of your powers like you said you didn't. That's a big problem.
I like how they were like, oh, when they were just wandering through the woods, staring up at the sun, letting the breeze blow through their wigs. We didn't really care about them being witches, to be honest. Like they were mostly just weird. But now that they're burning people alive, it's like not cool.
Yeah, Mind the Gap says if you use your magical powers to kill people, don't be surprised people don't like it. Yes, that's my thought. I will say I'm surprised by Lena's witchy turn. I don't mind it. I think this at least gives us some answer about her mother. That's all I'm going to say about that. But
I'm sorry, I just have to read this one out because it made me laugh. I'm not sure said Lena's mom was wearing her murdering flannel. And I just like that mother and daughter probably both have a go-to outfit when it's time to die.
Lena's got her murdering jacket. So it makes all kinds of sense. But I will say that Lena does have powers in the comics. She does have the power of ESP, especially in the Silver Age. So it's not too far off for Lena to have super abilities. I don't know, though, if Lena has ever had witchy magical powers. So this may be new, but it's not new in terms of her having some sort of supernatural ability. So I'm at least glad they did that. The ESP, I don't know if ESP is too close to Dreamer. I don't know.
John, I guess, maybe?
Yeah, so maybe there's too many people with mind things, so maybe they tried to give her something a little different. So at least they're kind of leaning into that aspect of Lena's comic book history a little bit.
Yeah, I don't hate the witch thing because it's so ridiculous and out of left field. I always like a show that commits to just being weird and is like, we're gonna have a kryptonite dragon. Lena's a witch now. Oh, it doesn't make sense to you? Who cares? I like that. It's like daring you to be like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. They're like, yeah, and. But the one thing that kind of bothers me is that this show just cannot let people be regular humans. They're incapable of it. It's a show about Supergirl, and every person she talks to eventually has to get a power of some kind. And Lena at this point was almost the lone holdout, I think, that didn't have powers except science powers and Hope the AI, the murderous AI, is kind of her own power. But Lena didn't. Besides science brain and super rich, those are her powers. They weren't witch powers. And now literally none of her friends are not super powered in any I guess Kelly and Alex don't have superpowers, but they're
still
now
costume
superheroes.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's nobody that she knows is regular anymore in any way, shape, or form except William, who I'm sure is going to have some power at some point.
Well, he has the power of baking.
He does. No soggy bottoms where William is. Well baked all the way through.
Well, we've gone almost an hour, so I guess does anybody have any thoughts about Nia's story in this? We can share some thoughts pretty quickly about Nia's guilt and needing to fess up to Kara about how Nixley came back into the picture. So Anna, do you have any thoughts about Nia's big confession?
I think her confession was very motivated by the fact that the first time she saw her mom after she died, her mom like yelled at her. It was like, "This is all your fault." Like, if I had to bring my mom back for a day, I hope she doesn't yell at me because she should have got to know how. I feel like that's what motivated it because it's really not her fault. She didn't know her. She offered her mom back. I don't think anyone wouldn't take that. And you know, I'm still on Nixley's side, so I think it was actually great that she accepted the deal. But yeah, I thought it was making her reckless. Like she was about to risk going into the dream world forever, as Brainy said. So I think she was struggling with some guilt, which I think is her mom's fault.
Yeah, Brainy was like, "Nia, don't do that. You're gonna lose yourself, and we're never gonna get you out," or whatever he said. And she's like, "But I have to try." And I was like, "Nia, you could maybe think of another solution to this problem. You don't have to go head first."
I was like, Nia, Supergirl's right there, and it's just a cat. So I feel like when you want to pull out the big guns and like maybe get stuck in the dream world forever is not like Mr. Whiskers. Like you wanna save that one up for something that's worth it a little bit more.
Morgan, do you have any thoughts about Nia's guilt in this episode?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they played it pretty well. I think that even if, like, I think her motives were really understandable and they built up to it all season. I think that they've done a really good job with Nia's storyline in this season in general. But I think that if you would accidentally let loose like a supervillain, you'd probably feel pretty bad about it. So I understand where she was coming from, that she felt really bad. And her mom, to Anna's point, her mom was pretty harsh in the episode before when Nia's like, I feel really bad and like I didn't mean to do it and blah blah blah, and her mom's like, yeah, but you did, didn't you? It's like, oh my god, Mom, calm down. You can deliver that message, but be a little nicer about it. Like she was like, well, like what you meant to do doesn't matter. It's the consequences, and now you have to sit with what you did. It's like classic mom guilt trip. It's like, don't tell me you're disappointed in me, Mom. Just say you're angry.
I did like how Nia's storyline fed into Lena's storyline a little bit, because Lena and Andrea had a conversation about how information helps people and secrets hurt people. And so I thought that sort of tied into Nia having to, face what she did and tell Supergirl, and Supergirl, gave her a little grace, which I thought was really nice. Very Supergirl thing to do. So I thought the writing actually held up in this episode a little bit. Things were connected and made some sense. It was really a pleasant surprise, I thought, for this episode.
It was a crazy episode, and yet it kind of fit together.
Yeah. So yeah, go ahead, Anna.
I was saying, speaking of secrets, I would really love for Lena not to tell Kara and to like have a mask and then be like, "Who's this new witch?" And Lena's like, I don't know. It must be someone else. just to be one last petty thing.
and then like after an episode or two, she just takes off the mask and she's like, "How's it feel? How's it feel?" And then she just leaves. It was all just, and she's like, "I sewed this costume myself."
I do think it's interesting that so there are two things that can really hurt Supergirl. One is kryptonite and one is magic. And for Lena, her best friend, to be a magical witch seems like a real choice. As a weakness akin to magic, to kryptonite. Seems like a bold choice. I don't know that I would have gone with that if I wanted to make them friends again. That seems like a turn you would have taken if you were going to make her a villain. That's all I'm going to say about that. And so I just think it's an interesting choice. Okay,
so I've got a question, which is, we don't know what Lena's magical powers are yet. We know that she can find tree stumps, but that was mostly Google Maps. What do we think / want Lena's magical powers to be?
Oh, Anna, do you have any thoughts?
So many thoughts. I'm still thinking about how at the end of that episode, someone said only magic can defeat magic, and then meanwhile Lena's like, "I got it. I'm on top of it. I'll be my witch."
Lena's like, "As always, I have
I don't necessarily want it to be fire, but that would make sense if that was her mom's power. It could be water if we're going elements here. I would love for it to be like air, because I think it'd be fun if like she could like, help Supergirl go faster by, using air powers or pushing someone out of the sky. But I don't know if it's going to be elemental based.
Yeah, if she was connected to air, would that make her fly? Would Lena be able to fly? I don't know. That's an interesting thought. Could she be elemental like Leviathan was? You remember Leviathan?
She's like, wait, just give me a bunch of twigs. It's the earth that's speaking to me. Her and Ramakan do they drop like a joint record where they're like, the earth is great. Save the earth.
I wonder what kind of like magic is this? Is this like an internal magic where she just like gets a lot of emotional energy and it comes out as magic, or does she have to like use spells like in Harry Potter? I
want her to have a wand.
Oh, that would be so good.
She needs a wand, I feel like. So Morgan, do you have thoughts? I don't know if I know how this is going to go down with Lena and what her abilities are going to be.
Yeah, I think nature-based powers would be fun. Like if she's like, hold on, I need to take the grass. It's my turn. Like she just grabs a bunch of it and she's like, here we go. Yes, exactly, Paula. Take the grass. But yeah, like if she has I like Anna's idea of like there being elemental powers. Because really the only thing that we know is that her mom like lit a house on fire. So that doesn't really tell us too much about the powers. And I hope we get like a clear definition. Oh, and Lena does have a connection to water due to that drowning and stuff and the Kelpie. So maybe it is water-based power. But I hope that they give the power some sort of definition and limits. Not trying to, shade anybody else on the show who seems to be almost limitless in their powers. But I hope I feel like they've learned from the Dreamer situation. They've definitely like pulled back her powers and made them a little bit more understandable now. And like, so I'm hoping that they put, I don't know, Lena maybe can do anything. Like, I hope that they give us some idea of what her powers are and aren't.
But one thing that we can get excited about is what is she going to be wearing as a witch? Will she have multiple wands to accessorize her boardroom or ballroom looks?
I
want
hope
to have a witch hat.
Yes, a witch hat is a must. I think.
Oh wait! Give me a second. Hold that thought.
And now, Lena Luthor, boardroom or ballroom.
We haven't used that in a while, and I haven't. We had to take advantage of it. So go ahead, Morgan. What were your thoughts?
I hope that Katie McGraw just like gets out her old Merlin costumes from Morgana, and she's just like, you know what? These still fit. Let's do it. And so she's just kind of like in medieval times, like just walking around in her long cloaks.
She has to have her hair down for it too.
Yeah, big crazy hair. That's what I'm into.
And like the eye makeup starts to get more and more crazy, like Nixley's. Like last episode, Nixley had like some dark eyeliner, and I was like, ooh, she could be bad. And this episode, it's all dark eye makeup, and I was like, well, now I know she's evil because she's got a smoky eye. And so I hope that Lena Morgana really goes into that sort of dark Morgana place with her look, and she's like, "What if Alex can have blue eyeshadow? I can look like a somebody who just came from a Ren fair. There's nothing to stop me."
I mean, if she has magical powers, she could create the clothing out of nothing. Just create a spell, and she could look however she wanted to. So I think that is a good thought. I would be into that. All right. Anybody else have any boardroom or ballroom thoughts before we get out of here?
Last thing would be Katie McGraw probably loved the outfit where she didn't have to have like heels because it looks like she was wearing flats in the woods. So she probably enjoyed that outfit for once.
She does wear a lot of heels, and those are probably not the most comfortable shoes. So I can imagine she did enjoy that. All right. Well, I'm going to take us out of boardroom or ballroom, and then we'll get to some overall thoughts.
And this has been
Lena Luthor, boardroom or ballroom.
People in the chat are talking about Lena's wavy hair for magic. We're in the wavy hair Lena era is what they're saying. All right. So Anna, what are your overall thoughts on this episode? Mixie in the Middle. Did you like it or did you dislike it?
I liked it a lot. I think I'm glad that Lena is back. I wish that we had, Lena and Kara scenes and also more Alex and Kara scenes. I love the moment where he pulls up the phantom projector to show them something and Alex steps in front of Kara. I love the Danvers sisters. I wish there was more where they have to save each other. So I like that moment where Alex kind of protects Kara. Overall, I love the episode. I love that Lena's a witch. I wish I was a witch. I'm on Nixie's side for now. I kind of hope that she gives a reverse Hulk speech and then Kara becomes evil too, just for fun. I know, Rebecca, you'd want to stay good, but just for fun.
I like this dark turn, Anna. Keep going.
Then, Lena, and then they bring in Maeve, and everyone's like evil, and they just destroy the world. They destroy Superman. That show ends.
They destroyed the whole show of Superman and Lois. They just take the whole thing down. They're like, you steal my time slot, huh?
That would be a threat to be reckoned with. They never really have. I mean, they've done the Red K Kara, but they've never done like everyone on the show turns evil. That would be kind of interesting if they did do that. I want
like an alternate reality where everyone is evil and they all get to borrow Nixley's eyeshadow palette. And there's so many smoky eye, but everybody has a smoky eye. Like Jean comes out and is like, Jean, the smoky eye. He's evil.
That's how you know. So Morgan, what are your overall thoughts on this episode?
I liked this one a lot. This one was unhinged. Being able to, there's no way to explain this episode to somebody outside. Like I was taking screenshots of this episode and I was like, without context, it looks crazy. With context, it's still crazy. Like this episode was nuts. Like the cat was like one of the more normal things in this episode somehow. Like the wig itself was just. It was like its own character. I think it went through its own character progression, its own character arc. It starts out happy. It ends up sad. I love that wig. That wig is so great. And God bless it. I hope it does well for itself because it's clearly a sentient living creature that's just on her head. I'm excited to see where they're going to go with this magic storyline. Does it make sense? No. Was there any build up to it? Medium. Am I along for the ride of Witch Lena? Yeah, I totally am. And you know what? It's something we all know Katie McGraw can play because she did it before and she'll do it again. She's going to get out that crazy Morgana hair and the eye makeup and a cape and she's going to go to town.
She does have experience. When she signed on to Supergirl and they looked at her resume, they were like, oh, so I see you have 5 seasons of witch time on a TV show. We can use that. So I actually loved this episode. I've been kind of on and off with some of these episodes here lately, but this one was super enjoyable. It had a dragon, a giant cat. Nixley was over the top, and I loved every second that she was on the show. I loved Mixie. I loved him doing a terrible parody of I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor. I was into it. He did tell the story pretty well.
We didn't even talk about that, but it was so. I like when they were talking about it being a musical episode. I was like, or there's some music in the episode. I was like, oh, cool. So they're gonna they have so many people who can sing, and they're like, no, just Mixie, and it's gonna be. He's mostly just gonna be singing exposition. Is the thing. I wish that they would always sing their exposition. They should have sang all about the totems, and then I would have been just as confused, but there would have at least been a song involved.
Yeah, I did enjoy that. It was a very whimsical Mixie Pitalik thing to do. So I appreciated that he did that. All right. I guess that is going to do it for our discussion, but let's find out what our listeners had to say about Mixie in the Middle.
Our first tweet is from Josue, Arias, 1994, who says, a fun episode. Wouldn't mind more giant cats, dragons, and wigs. Lena draws the line at magic. Mixie, I know that was one of my the favorite lines is when the witch was like, your best friend's a superhero alien from another planet. And she was like, yeah, I mean, that's normal. Though magic's kind of wonky.
Even though, I'm sorry, I took myself out of the chat. Even though there had been 3 Kryptonian witches on the show previously. They've had magic on the show, but Lena still doesn't believe in it. It was a little weird.
And Lena was in that rainforest. So
she was. She went into the rainforest.
She knew about the Kryptonian witches. And she's like, I don't know about this whole magic thing. I'm all about science. It's like, I mean, you did make an AI that took over your friend. That seems weirder than magic somehow. Never forget hope. And then Mixie was fun as always. At Anthony Nia said 7 totems, no problem. To complete this quest, our super friends will need to power up on the mythical long lost Omega Hedron and find the hidden bonus character Megan.
We still don't know where she is.
No idea where she is. Maybe she is in that forest in like another tree stump somewhere. She just has to drop a pin to her location. Then they'll be ready to face the big boss in the final level, Pam, formerly from HR, now CEO of Leviathan.
I would buy that. I'm still just assuming she's the head of Leviathan. We can't be proven wrong.
They can't prove us wrong. That's the thing. Maybe the wig was head of Leviathan. At Major _Dork 13 said the only character with a consistent and good storyline this season is Nia. I'm so happy with her arc and hope Kelly as Guardian has that kind of development too. That can't be said about Lena's story though. What the hell was that? I wouldn't mind her just being in the background. Being a witch is the last thing they could have done with her. She could have just worked as a tech support and scientist. Lena had a very central part of every season, and as much as I love her, I really can't deal with her chanting magic spells. I mean, we haven't heard her magic spells yet, though. They could be pretty funny.
Do you think she becomes more Irish when she does? Yeah, she can become more Irish when she's like Witch Lena.
What if she's like, the only way I can do this spell is as my mother once did, and then she just immediately goes into the Irish accent. They're like, oh my God, Lena, that accent
with the Irish like dancing.
Yeah, she just does some like river dance.
Yeah,
like, that has to be part of all of her spells. I like where we're going with this, Anna. I think we're really conceptualizing this whole witch thing. At Lido Large says wasn't my favorite. Did have some funny moments though. Heat Vision Cat Laser had me dying. The CGI was pretty cool, but nerfing. Is that nerfing?
I guess it's I think he means nerfing.
I had like a little thing on my screen right over that word. So I was like, am I reading that wrong? The CG was pretty cool, but nerfing Mixie because the CG budget couldn't allow for 2 imps was definitely felt throughout the episode. About 99% sure you guys either predicted or just requested that Lena play her own mother in a really bad wig, and you got what you asked for. That's true.
We did.
That's true.
Technically, we also requested that she play her evil twin, Nasty Luthor, so that Katie had to play 3 parts. So we haven't gotten that far yet, but hopefully we'll get an emotional scene between Katie McGrath and Katie McGrath.
I mean, the Katie McGrath like Orphan Black like extended universe where she just plays like every version of her character in the same room. Like that's what I want, and they can all have bad wigs if that's what we need. That's what we need to get us there. I'm fine with that. Shout out to Brainy's image inducer transition scene because it felt new and similar to Flash's cowl removal CG. Was hoping for more magic though. And Mark HB PWM said, it's too bad that Supergirl is ending because this Tuesday lineup reminds me of my childhood Saturday mornings, the Stargirl Supergirl hours. This was a really good episode of Supergirl, but unfortunately it followed an A++ episode of Stargirl and didn't quite match up.
Give it proper credit. It was A++++.
A++++. I missed a plus.
An A+++ episode of Stargirl and Supergirl didn't quite match up. We haven't really talked about that, but Supergirl and Stargirl are paired up for this run of episodes, which is pretty cool.
That's fun. I really need to catch up on any Stargirl, but I've heard good things.
Stargirl is actually quite good. I would recommend it. Before we get to our emails, though, I see that we have a guest waiting backstage.
Another special guest.
We're just full of special guests here tonight on Supergirl Radio. So we heard that one of the members of the Morgan Glennon podcast universe had some thoughts about this episode, and so we invited her on to share some of those thoughts with us. So welcome, Sarah from DCTV After Dark. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
I'm so good. Thank you so much for having me.
Good. So what are some thoughts about this episode, Mixing the Middle, that would you like to share with us?
I would say less thoughts, more feelings.
Oh, it's to share your feelings, please.
Just speak from the heart, really.
I really feel as though if I had to write a Supergirl fan fiction, everything in this episode would be included. Like first of all, like I feel as though this episode was like someone hacked into my brain and just took parts of everything that I love and made it into a Supergirl episode. First of all, there's dragons. Second of all, there's Supergirl using her laser vision as a cat laser for a giant a giant blue cat that's terrorizing a city. Which is chef's kiss.
Mike, actually, I told him about the cat thing because he's behind, and he was like, "What kind of cat?" And I was like, "I think it was a Russian blue." I was trying to identify the kind of cat. I was like, I'm not quite sure.
I think it might be a blue American short hair.
Oh, we got some cat connoisseurs here on the live.
I think Russian blues are a little fluffier, and the only reason I know that is because our friend Carolyn had one.
Oh, that's right. You're right. Yeah, they are a little bit bigger.
Yeah. And I mean, and obviously the witchcraft in the episode, and I'm sorry, but this is my hot take of the century is Lena Luthor. Lena Luthor canonically is a witch, is my what else could you dream for?
When they were out there in the woods, just kind of wandering around in flannel, sniffing trees, I was like, Sarah's gonna love this episode.
Listen, that's a whole mood. That's my whole thing.
I was like, this is really Sarah's whole vibe. Sarah would have joined that coven.
Morgan is saying that, but anybody who listens to this, she's not exaggerating. That is my whole vibe. Anyone who's been to my home knows I've got actually several herbs drying right now. And the only thing is that you guys interrupted me from meditating a smoke raven.
Oh.
As you usually do when you're living in a empty a tree branch in the woods.
Yes. I mean the traditional meditated smoke raven. That's how we spend our time.
Nice.
So yeah, I loved everything about it. I wouldn't change a thing. Lena Luthor as a witch is the best. Mixes Pitalik. I said his name right, I think.
I think according to the show, Mixes-Pitalik is how they say it on the show. He has very differing interpretations of the name, but Mixes-Pitalik, yes.
He was singing some 80s songs in the beginning. Also, the only thing is, I do have every time Nia's on screen, I have this rage that comes into my soul because her hair is always so perfect that I'm like, how do you have hair that beautiful? I just have hair in me.
Do we know if Dreamer's hair is a wig?
If
we
her
know?
hair is a wig, it's a good wig. It's a really good wig.
Because I think it would surprise people to know that Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman also wears a wig. So I think
really,
I mean, because her hair is usually, I'm pretty sure her Wonder Woman hair is a wig.
It's so nice.
Someone correct me if that's wrong, but sometimes I wonder now. After Gal Gadot's illusion went away that her hair might be a wig, I was like, are all of them wigs?
Is everybody wearing a wig?
Is everybody wearing a wig?
Why is this a wig?
So I don't know.
I've seen her actress does a lot of I've seen her Instagram, her social media and everything. She does look like she has great hair.
Yeah, I would believe that that's her natural hair.
Okay, because I was just thinking a wig would make sense as to why it's always perfect.
Yeah, so
but I don't know.
I would agree with that, except we've seen what the CW wigs look like.
That's true. If it was a wig, it wouldn't look as good.
It would look like something else. It would look like the Katie McGraw wig.
Okay. All right. So Sarah, Anna, Morgan, and I have talked about the wig. What are your thoughts on the Elizabeth Walsh wig? Do you think it's working it or wiggy? Do you think it's bad or good? What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I really feel like it conjures up like theme songs from 80s show, like Full House. That's what I want. That's like what I get in my mind when I look at this picture. So it's some kind of a star.
Okay.
Yeah. That's I don't know. I think it does deserve its own like credit line.
Yeah, that wig was doing like a whole performance, but I could also see that wig like laughing by the Golden Gate Bridge with all of its wig children. Like
and like tossing a hat in the air. Like,
yeah, the wig takes off its own hat and throws it in the air.
That's what I'm saying.
You're gonna make it wig.
Mary Tyler Moore. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. So I think that the wig does a whole performance in the episode. I think the wig could possibly like meditate some ravens into existence, like some smoke ravens of its own.
I believe that she was magical just because of that wig. Like there were a lot of, I feel like she was keeping a lot of secrets in that wig, and like who knows what was in that hair.
Well, there have been ravens on the show, so I think
what if she inherits the wig and that's what gives her powers? Because here's my thing.
And then she has to put the wig on. But she like doesn't like even like put it on fully. She just puts the wig over her own hair.
Yeah.
That's really good. I like it a lot.
This is what I'm saying. I think it's a whole plot line. If they don't go with it, I understand, but there's still fan fiction.
Yeah, there's so many plot threads you can pull out of that wig.
We can fix it in fan fiction. Don't worry.
We can fix it. We can fix it. I just like came away from this episode being like, you know, because I typically wait until the hiatus and I will like catch up on groups of Supergirl episodes. And then I saw a screen grab of the cat. And I was like, I can't, I have to do this. Like, I have to spoil myself. And it was worth it. It was worth every moment of this. I think it's the best episode in the history of the show and maybe the CW.
That's a bold statement, but I'm not going to argue with it. This is a pretty high quality Supergirl episode. I would agree.
Yeah.
There were dragon we talked about this previously, but what kind of magic do you think Lena and her hair that is probably her own is going to eventually have? Like, do you think it's going to be like elemental magic or earth magic?
Well, I mean, it's probably going to be a plot bunny magic that like
yes, that's definitely true.
That addresses whatever like plot they need to create on the show. But if everything that the episode was setting up is true, then she would conceivably have just like witchcraft magic, right? So like tinctures and like potions and like earth elementalist spells. I mean, her mom obviously had some fire magic going on. So I think probably whatever you think of with traditional like witchcraft that's primarily surrounding the natural world is what she would have. But I don't necessarily know that that's going to be the reality of the show because they're obviously going to use it for something.
Making potions is like science, so I could see her like putting a bunch of ingredients in and saying, I have the potion that will save us all.
She could blend the magic and the science together. I like that thought. I could see that happening.
Listen, I tell this to Morgan all the time that it is science, but she still doubts the medicinal properties of the tinctures that I make. So I'm just going to put that out there.
I've never doubted one of your tinctures, Sarah. You keep promising me that you're going to give me a tincture, so like the next time I get a cold, I can just magic it out of me.
Yeah, listen, I've got a fresh batch elderberry ready to go.
Oh, nice. I'm getting it this week.
Elderberry is very good for you. I'm not a doctor. I cannot prescribe you that, but I've heard good things about elderberry.
But Sarah is a witch, so she can.
But I am a witch, and I can. Listen, I will stand by the immunological properties of that particular one. But it is super science-based. So, like, it does kind of fit for her in a weird way, right? Because, like, if the show actually takes some time to develop a magic system, most magic systems are really scientific. But I don't know that the show is going to do that. I think that they're probably just going to be like, we need a strong magic user against this problem that we're creating. And so we're going to throw Lena at it, is what I would guess is going to happen. But
yeah,
I hope she flies on the broom.
Yeah,
yes, a broom.
That would also be amazing. That would also be amazing. And then they could fly into the sunset together. But
she's got a bunch of like little like science like beakers, and then she's like, "Car, get on the end of the broom. Let's go."
That would actually be a delightful way to end the show, like the finale shot.
They fly off into the sunset, and Lena's like, "I'm still doing science."
Right.
I think we figured it out.
I think we just wrote the final episode. We'll see what happens in, I guess, 9 weeks from now, which seems crazy when you think about it. Because the end of we're over the halfway, I think, in Supergirl season 6, the final season. So I guess we'll see if all of our predictions are going to come to light. Well, Sarah, thank you for coming on and sharing your thoughts. We should have you come on and talk about Supergirl much more often, I think. So we'll find another way to bring you in. Maybe a game night in the future.
I would love a game night.
I am plotting many game nights after the show ends. So we'll bring you and the legendary ladies back on, because I know you're very competitive and you want to win.
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know what would make you say that.
What makes me say that? You made me say that. You told me that. So we will have many opportunities for competition coming up. So thank you for joining us here on Supergirl Radio for this episode. We're going to remove you and kick you out, but we will definitely be having you back. All right, we should have more surprise guests.
We really should
more often.
So nice.
Yeah, Sarah's the best.
We like her.
Yeah, we like her. Okay. But yeah. So we've got a packed house. We got Anna, Supergirl Radio celebrity Anna, and we've got Sarah from DCTV After Dark. So if you want to go check Sarah out, check out DCTV After Dark that she hosts with Morgan, which is very fun. It's a little more mature than Supergirl Radio, but it's intended to be so. But you'll enjoy that podcast if you like DCTV and the podcasters of the DCTV podcast network. So definitely check that out. Okay, so let's get into some emails. So we have an email from New Rachel who writes, quote, "Dear Supergirl Radio, in relation to there being no promos, trailers for the second half of season six, except for this past week when they finally decided to cut one, Rachel writes, I came across this Tumblr post that you might find interesting. And the Tumblr post that New Rachel linked us to is from that'sjustsupergirl.tumblr.com, and it tries to explain why there have been no Supergirl promos except for this week. And the post explains, writing, quote, because multiple shows have been doing this to save money. There's a worldwide shortage / high demand for video editing and special effects due to the pandemic, which has created a backlog of getting work processed efficiently and consequently driven up the cost of production. So what does that mean? From a friend in the industry, we've been working around COVID with tricky directing and lots of extra editing and post to make it seem like actors are closer than they are. Doing that kind of workaround adds up in terms of both time and money. Each episode has gotten more expensive to make. I'd rather see the money spent on actual content, wouldn't you? Aside from that, Supergirl's audience retention week to week is very consistent and has been so since season 3. So they don't actually gain much from those promos to begin with, which makes it an easy loss to cut, unquote. Morgan, what are your thoughts about this?
I feel like wouldn't they be doing promo cutting like in-house versus, using like an editing company? So I don't know. It does seem like other shows are still getting those promos cut, and it's just Supergirl that's not. But I do buy that, like, there's probably a lot more editing work being done now because of COVID restrictions than there was in the past. And, like, just kind of like the supply chain issues everybody's been having, I could see how it would put, like, a premium on editing time. So it makes sense. It seems a little unlikely, but it does, it's not completely, like, I buy it.
I don't buy it at all.
Tell us, Rebecca.
I did work with some editors. So when I worked at Turner, I did do some encoding work for some editors who did promos for Cartoon Network and TBS and TNT and all those Turner networks, which are now Warner Media Group networks. And so we did all of the network promos in our offices. So we would have an editor paired up with a producer, and they would cut the promos there. I did not have personal experience with that. I did have we did a thing called Mentor Fest, which paired people who were not promo editors, which were basically called post edit, I think. Or it was either editorial or post-edit. I think they were editorial. But we could get paired with an editor, and they would teach us how to do it. And so I did that for a couple of years. So I kind of know the process of cutting a promo for something like that. But from what I understand, the network should be cutting those promos. If they work anything like Turner, I would imagine that the CW would be cutting that. I don't think the people associated with the show itself, the editors with the show itself, would be cutting those promos. I think if my experience is anything in relation to what the CW does, which is a different network, of course, but they probably have editors inside their network that do that. So I don't buy that, like, cost cutting is preventing them from doing it.
And yeah, to me, it wouldn't come out of the show production budget. It would come out of like a marketing and promo budget,
right? Which
now we're getting to the really exciting stuff that people want to hear. What budget did it come out of? This is the reason people tune in: real estate conversations and budgets.
I wouldn't claim to be an expert on this. I actually have no idea what in-house means, but I assume they could even just do a slideshow of pictures of, like, Katie McGraw and, like, Melissa Benoist, and just make a slideshow and be like, watch next week, and people will be like, yes.
Yeah, they could do really low budget if they really wanted to. Yeah,
they could just zoom in on the wig and be like, watch.
Yeah, in-house, Anna, just means that, like, the CW wouldn't have to send their episodes out to another company to edit them. They would just be doing it themselves. That's basically what in-house means. Sorry, I was using jargon from my Turner days. It's kind of in me. I can't get rid of it. So I the only thing I buy in the Tumblr post, and this Tumblr post could be correct, I don't know, but I think I would agree that from the CW's perspective, the Supergirl audience retention from week to week is very consistent. I think they're just taking the audience for granted. I do agree with that part of the post.
And I think it has to do with it being the last season too. I just like, not that they're like don't care and they're phoning it in, but like they're like, what's the worst that happens? Like, the show's ending anyway. We're not building an audience for the future. Like, that's all, folks. So I think that they I just think that they don't really care, which is unfortunate. And they are able to cut promos because we have one for next week.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're not. That was due to the tweet by the actress who plays Kelly. When another episode went on, someone had tweeted at her and said, "I wish that the show was promoting your episodes," and she said. She had responded to it. I don't remember what she said, but she seemed sad that they were not. And then this time she got a promo. So I wonder if that was due to her public sadness.
Yeah, it was kind of disappointing. And I think for all of them, they kind of want a bigger... I mean, if you were on the show and you've been working on it for 6 years, wouldn't you like some big hype in your final season? I know I would. So it's strange to me that they're not doing that. But the CW doesn't need to worry about ratings anymore for Supergirl. So they're just kind of, I guess, doing the bare minimum, I guess, as you could say.
Yeah, you think that they'd be hyping it up like, it's the final season. You have to watch what's going to happen next. And instead they're like, yeah, it's almost over. Here you go.
I wish
Okay,
I cared
CW.
more.
Me too. It's too bad. So we have gotten an email from Gina, who shared some Lena Luthor thoughts, writing, "This definitely was closer to Legends of Tomorrow, all-out craziness, and I am here for it. Everything about this episode reeked of fifth-dimensional imps in the episode. Like Rebecca mentioned in her live tweet, I will take this kind of comic book crazy episode over straightforward gun control and corrupted prison system talk any day. I think what made season 1 so good for me was that it had a nice balance of comic book and real-life elements to them. What am I not here for? Lena potentially becoming a member of a coven. And the real reason this bothers me so much is that I was just telling my husband a few weeks ago that by the end of the series, Lena will be the only non-powered, non-costume character on this show. But apparently, I was wrong. I still have problems with Alex in a costume, and now Kelly wants to have one, and now Lena has to gain magical powers. I love Alex for being Kara's human sister, who's also a DEO badass. I like Kelly for using her therapy expertise to help the Super Friends get through things emotionally. And I like Lena for trying to be the good Luthor and using her genius to help out the Super Friends. Why must we change what these women bring to the table? Ugh. I'm having trouble figuring out where Lena and Kara stand right now as besties. They put so much emphasis on their relationship the last 2-3 seasons, bringing it to a head where they have this terrible falling out, which was the focus of season 5. They mention at the end of the season that they have a long way to go, and then Kara gets sent to the Phantom Zone. Lena has all these feelings about Kara being gone and it being Lena's fault. Kara comes back, they hug, and then Lena's like, great, you're back, peace out, and leaves. On top of that, Lena reaches out to Andrea to help and talk things through. I know Andrea is an old friend, but after all that crap with Kara, I'm just surprised Lena didn't go to her too.
Yeah, you could have put Kara on that phone call if you really wanted to.
Yeah, really.
I didn't know that Lena and Andrea were on good terms. Didn't she have like a gun to like Supergirl, and she, like Lena had to Kara had to talk. No, someone had to talk someone down from. It was Lena between Andrea and Supergirl, right?
Yeah, Andrea was going to go there as a Krata and kill Supergirl.
Oh, that's right.
On behalf of Leviathan. So there was that.
Everybody's become so cool with Andrea. Like, oh yeah, Andrea, remember that time that you almost got everybody stuck in VR? What a fun time that was for all of us. Like, please, Andrea, tell us more about the news. It's like, really? There's not going to be any repercussions for that?
Nope. They threw it all on Lex, and she is facing no consequences. But that's a good point, though. Well, we have an email from Mark who writes, "Hi, ladies. First, I want to say that I loved Morgan's 2-minute drill in the last episode. That was hilarious and awesome. Yes, I did force Morgan to stress out and explain things in 2-minute segments, which was great.
That was an exercise.
She aced it. And Mark goes on to say, as for this week, a few thoughts that came to mind. Number 1, I loved the gimmick that Mixie kept standing on one foot with his other foot propped on his knee. It's straight out of the comics. Yeah, he did do that a lot. I do appreciate his commitment to that. Mark goes on to say, number 2, glad Kara's decided that the time for assaulting Nixley with hope speeches is past and it's time for action. I did love that, like, we got, Kara, she got into it. She was doing the hope speech. It was going as it usually does. And Nixley was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. And that was just icing. That was icing on the cake for me.
Well, after that Nixley, when she goes, nah, that was the best. That was so good. I love her.
I was so glad to see that it was not going to work on Nixley. Mark goes on to say, number 3, is anyone else seeing the Phantom Zone projector and thinking of whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow comic book story? If that plays a part, I suppose it's a fitting into the show. And if you watched or listened to our Mixyezpitalik character spotlight, you would know about what happens to Mixyezpitalik in that story. Mixie actually he's kind of getting caught by Superman, and Mixie tries to say his name backwards so he can be sent to the 5th dimension and get away. But he is simultaneously hit by a Phantom Zone projector from Superman, and it splits him. part of Mixie goes back to the fifth dimension and part of him goes to the Phantom Zone. So it's a pretty intense thing that happens to Mxyzptlk in that story. So if you want to know more about that story, you can either read Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, which is one of the greatest Superman stories ever written, or you could listen to our character spotlight, which is just as good.
Agreed.
Highly recommend it. Mark also says, number 4, I'm very glad they didn't draw out the Nia Secrets and Lies angst. Me too. Number 5, Mark says, Lena is apparently going to become Zatanna before the end of the show, ? We'll see what happens.
So Naomi sent us an email to say, I may watch Supergirl from time to time, but I listen to your podcast every week. She's like the You with Legends of Tomorrow podcast.
You don't have to watch it. You don't have to watch the show. Just listen to the podcast.
As long as you listen to the podcast, we don't really care if you want to show. Naomi goes on to say, I'm watching season 6 and I'm missing some of Kara's emotional connections towards plot lines. Kara's father came and left, but it didn't affect Kara. Kara's emotional trauma about prison was mentioned in only one episode. I watched Arrow's final season, which was all about Oliver's character development. And I know for sure if The Flash had a final season, the main storyline would have some emotional effect on Barry. All I'm seeing is Kara being a superhero. We see her as a reporter, but that is all the connection about Supergirl. Yes, she felt guilty about Nixley, but it didn't give Kara any character development, and I'm sure Kara would move on from the guilt by the next episode. Does season 6 feel like a final season?
Anna, what do you think about that? Do you feel like season 6 is kind of has a finality to it?
Not yet. I feel like with what Kelly's doing, that's new. What Lena's doing, that's new. So it feels like it could go on for seasons. It seems strange to have that in like the last few episodes, and if they try to jam everything in, it's going to feel superficial. I like when there's like depth to characters and stories. I don't necessarily need action. I just need someone to be crying or some betrayal. That's more fun. I loved the scene with the Danvers sisters where she was in the spaceship and she held her hand to the glass. I want something like that again. With the Danvers sisters, I want there to be emotional moments between Alex and Kelly and Kara and Lena, especially the Danvers sisters, and I don't know how that's all going to fit in. So it doesn't feel like a final season because it should just be all... There should be at least an episode full of crying if it's going to be a final season.
That's how Anna would do it. There would be the one cry episode. But no, I totally agree with her though. Like the fact that in the final season they're bringing up like new character arcs in like the last half of the final season. Like Kelly hasn't even become Guardian yet technically, and we've got like 9 episodes to go. Yeah. It's not. Like how developed is that storyline could it possibly get in that amount of time? And like now Lena's a witch, okay, but like she's gonna be a witch for 9 episodes. She's like, it's a weird thing to like start fundamentally changing some of your characters in the last 10 episodes of like a 6-season show. It seems like a strange choice. That seems like something you do when you have more time to explore the stories. Like it feels like they're just like, and now Lena's a witch. Isn't that fun? It's like it doesn't really feel like I agree. Like it doesn't feel like they're, wrapping up the story because they keep throwing new storylines out there.
I hate to bring it up. Actually, I'd love to bring it up. But so my favorite TV show of all time, Lost. In its final season, it really did a good job. Everybody should watch it. Just go watch it if you haven't watched it. It's only 6 seasons. But the final season had big emotional arcs for most of the characters. And I'm thinking specifically about Jack Shepherd. He goes through a huge journey in that season. And so I wish there was something like that for Kara. So I agree with the email and with y'all. It doesn't feel like they're driving towards something with Kara. It just sort of feels like they're kind of they're doing the thing. They're telling some stories with the villain, but it doesn't. I don't know if it's necessarily. I guess they're driving towards something with the Allstone and the totems and all that kind of thing. But what are they driving to with Kara's arc? I think is the question here. So I think there's a good question in that.
Could you imagine if in the last episode they like introduced someone new and had that be your love interest in like 30 minutes?
I wouldn't put it past them. They're like, like halfway through the final episode, like she bumps into someone. She was like, "Oh, hello." They do like a True Blood where she just ends up with a stranger and you only ever see the back of the person.
Didn't they also do that on Cheers with Rebecca's character?
Did they really?
I think they did. Like in the final episode, she's like, "Oh, I like this plumber guy," or maybe it's the final season. She like hooked up with this. I just remember he was a plumber. I didn't know anything about him. But yeah, I think the only way you pull that off is if in the last 30 minutes she bumps into Kenny Lee. That would be the only way I would buy that. But yeah, so I would like it to feel more like a final season. So I think that's a good question.
I hope the last episode has like a flash forward to Alex and Kelly as like old grandmas with their grandchildren, and John with McGon, or some sort of montage with music, and I hope that will make it feel like a final episode if they do that for me.
Kind of a little like an epilogue. Yeah. They could do that. Well, Ellie sent in an email about the totems mentioned in this week's episode saying, quote, having to collect 7 totems to gain almost unlimited power gives off fairy tale vibes. I'm assuming that episode 12, which won't have too much of Nixley since it's Kelly's Guardian episode, each episode will have one of the totems as the main themes, and then the finale will have the final battle. We know that episodes 15, 16, and 17, these might be spoilers, but they're just episode titles, are called Hope for Tomorrow, Nightmare in National City, and I Believe in a Thing Called Love. And there are totems of hope, dreams, and love among the others. So this is why I'm assuming every totem gets an episode, or at least most of them, but I could be wrong here. I don't know. That seems like a pretty good theory.
That seems like a pretty solid one.
Ellie also says, I'm sorry, go ahead, Anna.
Or I said, I hope the Nightmare one has some real drama.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you have Nightmare in the title, you gotta have something spooky and scary.
That's where we're gonna get our drama. We're gonna get some spookies. We're gonna get people crying, I think.
Ooh, could that be I guess we could get a Halloween. Yeah, we could get a Halloween episode. Yeah, maybe. Let's see. Is it Ellie's email? Yeah, so Ellie says, I also have a theory here, and I know that it might sound a bit strange, but what if Esme, the sassy foster kid, turns out to be one of the totems? We know she has powers, and we know the actress will be back, but for now, that's just a weird theory of mine. I'm curious to see how Esme will be included in the story of the remaining episodes, and I feel like making her one of the totems might be an interesting and good plot twist. That would be cool. I would love to see more of Esme, the sassy foster kid. So
that would be fun.
I'd be into it.
I love her. I love her energy. So Aaron sent in an email writing, the episode where you discussed episode 610, Still I Rise, there was a lot of discussion how when Supergirl, the show, gets into politics topical issues, it is some form of failing and weakens the show, and that in your opinion, the show is best when it goes into comic book realm. I want to say that I think the show is best for me when it brings what happens in our real life into the world of aliens and superpowers, so that those who experience it can relate, and those who don't can see something from a different perspective, perhaps without even realizing it. In the movie V for Vendetta, there's a line that said, artists use lies to tell the truth while politicians use them to cover the truth up. And I feel like I can't speak. And I like when I feel that. Yes, the things I watch are a form of escapism, but it's not completely devoid of things recognizable as some of what is happening in our real world. We need to remember when we watch it, they are trying to make it entertaining for many different ages and education levels. I would like to think that all adults know about gentrification, systematic racism, the climate crisis, and any other topic this show may discuss, but that's not a given. Even if it is assumed that all adults watching know these things, there are also children watching too. This show can be a catalyst for discussing these topics with their parents. It could also be something that encourages them to do something that makes some impact on these issues and just being more aware of them growing up rather than learning them as adults. And I think that's a really good perspective on it, which is like sometimes when we're watching it, I can be a little bit like, ugh, like we know this, but like, yeah, you can't assume the level of knowledge of everybody who's watching the show, and a lot of younger people do watch the show. It's kind of, I mean, it's not, I wouldn't say it's aimed at younger people, but I think a lot of like young, like children, young girls and stuff like that, they look up to Supergirl. And so it is a nice, as we could use the buzzword from one of the previous episodes, platforms to discuss issues that are happening in real life and give you the Cliff's Notes version, the 101 version of what this thing is, what it is, and why it's bad. So yeah, I think we're, when we critique it, I think we're kind of looking at it from our perspectives. But I think our letter writer had a good perspective that it's, it's not. They can't always assume how much the viewer knows about any specific thing that they want to talk about.
Yep.
Am I allowed?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, yes, please.
Can I politely disagree with the email? Because I hear what she's saying.
As long as you do it politely.
Yeah.
Politely, yes. Because I hear what they're saying. I respect them as a person. I like their wording and their ideas. I think when it comes to the idea that kids are watching, I think sometimes people underestimate the understanding of children. And I've watched TV shows as a child, read books as a child, and even when they sometimes address climate change, sometimes they still do it in a way. I think Morgan had brought up wishing that showing, not telling. So I think that kids, even if it was geared towards kids, I think kids learn just the same way adults learn, is by showing, not telling. And I still feel like the show is a little bit too, they have to say it too many times. They assume that we don't understand when, I think in many cases some of the viewers actually go through some of these issues more than the writing people may go through them. Yeah. But I still like their email.
Yeah, well, that was very polite. Thank you. I agree that if there's something that a writer wants to share a perspective on, that's great. My problem is I don't think it's done well.
Yeah, Beaker, what did you think about the email?
Yeah, can we get Beaker's topical opinions?
Beaker's like, I think climate change is bad. I want more fish, more minnows in the ocean. I want to knock things over. Beaker, well, why did you do that? That was a picture, and then you just knocked it over.
Oh no!
What if Beaker? What if we got down? What if we left? God, he's so annoying.
I hope that didn't scare him.
It did scare him. But he purposefully knocked over the photo on my desk. So that felt like it was on him. I think Beaker had some strong words for that email by just knocking over a photo and leaving, which I felt like that was uncalled for. Honestly,
yeah, that was not polite. My thing is, if you want to share your perspective on the world and have things that you feel passionate about it, sure, tell a story about it. I just don't want you to lecture me with recidivism rates that feel like you got it from a press release or like a research paper. I want you to just
quick Google search.
Just put it in a dialogue that real people would say. I just need it to feel like it's a story, not like I'm watching CNN or something.
I think the problem is that the writing is not always great around it. It's like it's not that the show is it's not that the show is using the platform to talk about certain things, because we've talked a lot about a lot of shows that we have used sci-fi or fantasy to talk about real world things and metaphors and and how it can be really effective when you're watching something to go, oh, it's like that thing, and oh, that makes sense, and that's showing me a different perspective. But it's the show, like Anna said, it's the show, not tell. Supergirl will be doing an episode, and then Supergirl will turn to the camera, stare you straight in the eye, and be like, climate change is bad, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Everything has to be, there can be no subtlety. I think that's my bigger problem with the topical issues, is that the subtlety and, consistent writing and just the consistency within the universe is sometimes thrown out in favor of making, the topical point that they want to make and the thing that they want to talk about, which is, it just has to make sense within the world of the show. And sometimes it just doesn't.
Yeah, the underlying logic sometimes doesn't make sense. Like they're talking about recidivism rates, but yeah, it's a world where everyone watches a town council meeting on their off time. It was on every screen. That's not realistic. So it's hard to be what's realistic in this world and what's the underlying logic.
It's so true. Everybody's like, oh my God, the sickest thing just happened on C-SPAN.
Yeah, my favorite example is that season 3, Not Kansas, with the gun control episode, where Morgan just pinpointed the problem, where it was they kept saying that all you needed was a shield, and the people with the shield actually got like killed. So it was
like when the show can't, like the logical consistency within the show can't hold up with what they're trying to like make the point about, and you're like, I don't think that you just made the point.
I think you just made the opposite point of what you were trying to say. So I think I would be more open to it if it was done better and presented in a way that actually felt like more of a story instead of just like talking points from a press release. So that's my opinion on it. But thank you for writing in. To end our emails, Daryl wrote in to share some thoughts about Lena Luthor's storyline in this episode, writing, quote, "With the quality of this show's writing, there is no way they can give justice to Lena's magical journey with the few episodes they have left. There was really no reason to make Lena skeptical about magic. They don't need to give Lena magical powers any more than they need to give Kelly that shield. Is Kelly being the only therapist in National City not enough? Is Lena being the smartest person in any room she walks in not enough?" Unquote. So Daryl makes some good points. I think they've leaned into the science aspect of Lena for so long, and now they're just dropping it for magic. So that's new and different. So thank you for sharing your thoughts, and thank you to everybody who wrote in. I guess, Morgan, do you want to take us into snap judgments? And I should say before we get there, if you have snap judgments for Anna, please drop them in the live chat. We've got some
in the chat.
We've got some in the doc, but if you think of anything while we're going live, put them in there and you can play along with snap judgments with us. So I guess that will take us into snap judgments. So we'll do the intro and we'll come right back. In the game of snap judgments, each person is presented with 2 options, but must only choose one. First instincts are recommended and explanations are unnecessary.
All right, snap judgment time. So, yeah, our first snap judgment is from @Zandani, and at Mark HPWM.
They had a similar snap, so I just combined them as co-creators of the snap.
Co-creators of the snap. Okay, what's worse, Alex's side ponytail, Oliver's hat wig, or Katie McGraw's Elizabeth Walsh wig?
Okay, so before we answer, let's just recap. Oliver's hat wig.
Oh, God.
Alex's ponytail.
It's real bad.
And Katie McGraw in a wig. So those are our choices. So Anna, let's see, what's the question? Which is worse of those 3?
Twilight. The second one looks like Katniss Everdeen from the Hunger Games, and the last one, I think I have to go with the hat wig, because he looks like he's a mechanic, and I don't know the context, but I think I'm scared of him.
Yeah, hat wig is legendary.
I don't know that I would take my car to that mechanic is the thing. I'm like, oh, if you can't even figure out that hair situation, I don't know what he's going to do to my car.
Yeah, I think at least with Alex's ponytail, I think it kind of works, and with Katie McGraw wig, it's at least passable, I guess. But hat wig, just because we know that the wig is attached to the hat. I mean, we know it. So I think that's definitely got to be worse.
This is a tough one because these are my 3 all-time favorites. These are the best. These are the best of the worst wigs I've ever seen in my life. The side braid wig is very bad. It's and like you can't even really tell in this shot how bad it is. When she was standing and you could see it straight on, it was just like a braid that stuck out of the side of her head. So that was concerning. You could tell that was a dark timeline. Oliver's wig's terrible. And then the Katie McGraw wig is it's so bad that it kind of almost comes around to being good again. It's like if you wanted to wear a hat. Like, that's how she's wearing it on her head. It doesn't look like it's even supposed to approximate natural hair.
So is it kind of a hat wig?
It's kind of a hat wig itself. It's like a wig you wear as a hat. She looks like she's out of an 80s like hair metal band or like Heart or something. Like they should all be breaking into song. So I want to get it, but the Oliver's wig is too bad. It's literally just some hair like glued to the side of a hat.
Yeah. We love hat wig here on Supergirl Radio. So that's going to be the winner, I think.
And Rebecca, which one?
Oh yeah, I would. Did I not say Hatwig? I'd say Hatwig. So I'm gonna go Hatwig.
Hatwig is an all-time great. We love you, Hatwig. So we have a couple of snap judgments from Gina. Gina says Lena as a witch or Lena as a scientist.
Lena as a witch. There's magic. I love it.
I'm going to say Lena as a witch because I'm just curious to see where it goes.
Lena's been a scientist for a long time, and I think it's time for her to put on a jaunty wig and really like dive into those witch powers.
Yeah,
maybe that's where the power comes from. Yes, she's done her share of science murdering. She's conquered all there is to conquer science-wise. She's looked out across her kingdom and she said, "No, magic now."
Yeah, Dr. Nicole Green, our science consultant, says, "Don't make me choose. It's unfair."
Okay, second snap judgment from Gina. Mixie singing a version of I Will Survive or Nia singing 9 to 5 in the prom episode?
I think the Nixie singing, because everyone wasn't enjoying it. I thought that was really funny that they all looked tired and he tried to start singing again and they stopped him. And whereas Nia, I think she was allowed to sing. I can't really remember that far back. Sometimes it all blurs together. But I think it was funnier that no one was appreciating it.
For me, the 9 to 5, it was a good idea, but it went on for too long. It got to where it was a little awkward by the end of it. I was like, I think maybe she needs to stop. Not that it was bad. I just think it went on a little too long. And Mixie went on a little too long, definitely. But I would agree with Anna that it was fun that he really played it up. He was very theatrical. He danced with the stairs, and he played with the props and the set. And so I appreciated his theatrics. So I'm going to go with Mixie singing "I Will Survive."
Yeah, I have to go with the "I Will Survive" as well. I think that was it was funny, and it was a great way to dump exposition in like a fun and playful way. Like we were learning something kind of, and we got a musical number.
Yeah.
Okay, a full musical episode of Supergirl before it ends, or the return of Large Kitty Cat as villain of the week.
I think if I had to choose, I love both. I love cats. But I think I want the full musical episode because I want to hear Lena sing. Just like I don't know if I've ever heard Katie McGraw sing. I think that would be interesting. Or Alex singing.
I think Kyler would probably do it for sure. I mean, we do have magical beings here on the show now. They could, force characters to sing even if they didn't want to. So it is a possibility. I think I would like the return of the giant kitty cat. Or how is it referred to here? The large kitty cat, akin to the return of Spike the Dragon. I think we could have a return of some of our favorite giant evil pets. Well, Spike turned out to be okay in the end. We got redemption for Spike the Dragon, so maybe we could get redemption for the large kitty cat, and then maybe it becomes Streaky, the super cat. Maybe they can take the large kitty cat and shrink it down.
I love that. So the musical is very tempting, but I do feel like we had kind of a musical before. Well, at least I guess Melissa got to sing. But we've never had a cat supervillain. And I feel like cats are specifically suited to be supervillains. As you just saw when Beaker decided to just knock over randomly for no reason at all a photo on my desk. And I feel like bringing that chaotic energy as a villain would be really fun. So I'm going to go cat supervillain as well. Okay, we have some snap judgments from Major at Major_Dork13. First, hey Anna, what's up, girl? I hope everything is good. Love the energy. All right. I think Major Dork13 is giving us like an Anna snap here. So let's see how they do. Lena learns that she killed her mother by her undeveloped witch power in the past.
Ooh.
Or Lena hurting Kara and her friends with her witch powers in the future.
And it does say in parentheses, Rebecca can opt out of this one. Yeah, that could get me into trouble if I answer that one. Anna, what's your choice there?
They're both so good. So the first one, you get to see like Lena would have all that guilt. She'd probably like cry for a few days, might put on a murder jacket to cope. Would really mess with her internally. So that's always a plus. And the second one, I feel like I want to go with the second one because Lena cares about her mom. It's her mom, but I feel like she has a more emotional connection to her, Kara right now because she knows her for more than 4 years at this point. So I feel like that would really, if she regretted it, would really tear up. Also that 100th episode where she like opens her jacket and her heart's like kryptonite. I love that scene. So I would love to see that again. Or like the look in Kara's eyes when like Lena hurts her, like chef's kiss.
The drama. Yeah, I'm also gonna go with the future too, because first off, I think it like gives us future angst. It gives us future dramatic potential. And also Lena already feels guilty about the water thing, the drowning thing anyway, even though she was a 4-year-old child. And like, I don't think adding on a layer of it actually being her fault is gonna do anything like character development wise. So let's do it in the future, and then we can like cause some like drama with Lena and the Super Friends. That's I mean fun is the wrong word here, but it's better dramatic potential.
Yeah, I don't want to see Lena hurting Kara and her friends, but I definitely cannot pick Lena learns that she killed her mother by her underdeveloped witch powers. So since it did give me the option to opt out of this one, I'm choosing to pass on this one.
Rebecca is neutral on this one. Okay. Our next
Even though that's totally breaking the rules of the game, I'm opting out.
Well, the snap judgment person said you could, and it gave me yes, that's part of the snap. Okay, Nia gets sucked into the dream realm forever, and as Brainy tries to help, he gets stuck there too. Or Mixie accidentally powering up the projector, sending Alex and Kara into the Phantom Zone.
Ooh, another good one. I can tell that you put a lot of thought into these. The first one is it's funny because I just can already see the argument, Brainy being like, you didn't think this through, and then they have a whole eternity to argue in the dream world. But I feel like that's not as angsty because it's a dream world. I assume she can dream up some mansion and they can just live there. I don't know if that's how it works. But with the other one, I don't either. The other one, I like the other one better because you get the Danvers sisters, you get those scenes. I hope there's a scene where a Phantom tries to take Alex and we get Kara Alex, don't let go, and tears. And then plus Lena comes back from Ireland, Canada, and she's like, where's Kara? What did you do with her? I was gone for 2 days.
Lena shows up in a chunky cable knit sweater and a shamrock necklace, and she's like, what happened?
I like Alex and Kara going into the Phantom Zone. I could be into that. I think Anna's right. I think you could have a scenario where Alex steps in front of Kara to protect her from going into the Phantom Zone again, and she gets sucked in, and Kara maybe grabs onto her leg as she goes. I think that would be cool. I'd be interested to see them experience that together. So I'm going to go with that one.
Yeah, and listen, I don't think that they tap the full potential of the Phantom Zone. What other structures are in there? What other storage facilities? We can finally find out. But I think it would be good for Danvers sisters, character development, and we get a lot of them talking together, and they always have the best scenes. So yeah, I mean, as fun as it would be to explore the dream realm a little bit more and see if she can make a mansion. Last season in the VR, they made a murder house, and nobody seemed to even mind it. So I feel like she can make a dream mansion. That has to be possible.
I have a question about the Phantom Zone. Does Zor-El need to come back and get Kara out?
That's the thing, is I think he must. I think he's the only one who knows how to get in and get out. He's the only one who's done it before. Maybe he has to wear the outfit again. Maybe that has to happen. Listen, if we can get Jason Behr back on the show, looking so good, and we can just get him back for me, that would be really nice.
I think he definitely has to wear the super suit.
He has to. He just has to.
Yeah.
I like that suggestion, Rebecca. I think you add it to it.
I'm just looking out for you. I'm just trying to get that to happen for you.
Amazing. Okay. Our next snap judgment is from @DJ Writer. Nixley wreaked havoc with a giant magic kitten. Had she chosen from Morgan's cat, Beaker, or Bunsen, which would have created the most chaos and destruction? P.S. I love Beaker and Bunsen.
Ooh, this is a good question because I don't know much about your cats. Morgan, I care about you. I just can't remember the difference between them. I feel like Beaker was the one that came on your screen.
That's
Okay.
Beaker.
That
was Beaker,
make me go for Bunsen because here's why. Bunsen sounds more
dark
like
horse.
Bunsen burner. Bunsen burner, and that's like fire. So I feel like the cat would have fire powers. And then also, why does Beaker keep coming up and not Bunsen? Do you think Bunsen's behind it, the master manipulator?
Oh, I like that. He's just sending Beaker's like the minion who's going out and doing his dirty
how all
deeds.
the villains work. He's like the Lex Luthor of cats. Always, behind the scenes.
I like it.
I mean,
Rebecca,
I was gonna say Beaker because Beaker is usually we refer to him as the ham of the podcast. He seems to always be the one making. Bunsen makes the occasional appearance, but Beaker really likes the limelight.
That's because Bunsen's plotting. He doesn't have time for fame.
Well, from what I understand, they do some of those things together. So it could be that Bunsen is sending him off on missions. I kind of like Anna's rationale here. I mean, Beaker seems to be the one who's always kind of making it happen, but she makes a compelling point. I think I'm going to go Bunsen here.
Oh, you know what's interesting? So Bunsen was sick during our honeymoon, so we had to board them separately. And our usual cat boarder just got Beaker. And she was like, Beaker is so much more cuddly and like playful without Bunsen. It's like he was taking his cues from Bunsen. I was like, uh-oh. So Bunsen is apparently calling the shots. But Beaker is Otis to Bunsen's Lex. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Bunsen's off in a corner. You think that he's just napping because he's always napping. But it turns out what he's really doing is thinking. He's thinking about his next plan. And I do feel like every time that they pull out treats and then open up a whole bag and eat all the treats, I feel like it's Bunsen who really masterminds those plans. So I like where you're both headed. However, I will say it's definitely Beaker, and that's because Beaker is just an agent of chaos. Beaker knows no laws. He respects no authority. He fears no one and nothing. Beaker is just going around just messing things up because he can. So I think if there was a situation where one of my cats had to be a villain, I think it's definitely gonna be Beaker. He just fall into that villain life by accident. He'd be like, I just thought it was fun.
That's good.
That's such a great snap judgment. Thank you for that one. Okay. Our last snap judgments, unless there's some in the chat, our last ones on this doc is from Anna, which is amazing. Are you ready to answer your own snap judgment?
Do I have to answer my own snap? I can, but
yeah, you definitely have to.
You're in here, so you have to. Okay. What would you rather have happened to you? You try to take down corruption, but then get betrayed by each other during the trial and are banished forever. Or you both spend your days happily chanting in the woods. I'm so sorry. I'm just imagining me and Rebecca wandering around the woods in flannel.
like sniffing the branches, being like,
just sniffing a branch. Pulling a leaf off of a thing. Okay. All right. We're in the woods. We're happily chanting. We're super chill until we accidentally murder each other's husband and then we drown in a lake as your only child watches. So that one seems dark.
That one's pretty brutal.
That one's dark. We were happy in the beginning of it though.
Anna, what's your choice?
When I wrote, I think I was envisioning you two, but I guess if there was like a third person there and like I was trying to take down corruption, I thought I had you two on my side. Like I trusted you. You gave me like the Google Docs for the notes for the court case, and you're like, never mind, we betrayed you. I feel like that would really, make me sad. And then, but with the other one, I wouldn't want my only child to watch me drown, just because, I know I had snaps about child death before, but I really don't want children to suffer. So, which one's more? I think I'll go for the trial one, because I would be really sad if you two betrayed me. I think I wouldn't be able to listen to another podcast again.
I would be sad about that as well. I like the idea of taking down corruption, though.
Yeah.
There is some betrayal there.
There's some betrayal.
And there's a banishment.
There is a banishment.
But I also don't want to accidentally murder someone.
That's not great.
And
I don't have anything against Mike, but
I was about to say Mike doesn't end up in a good place in this snap judgment.
Yeah, so definitely don't want to murder Mike. That would be bad. So I guess I'm going to have to go taking down corruption and getting betrayed by each other during the trial and banished forever.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to do corruption as well. I'm gonna protect Mike, and also I feel like we betray each other. That kind of gives us a fun amount of feud that we can have with each other. Like there's maybe some drink throwing and wherever we're being banished to, and like it could be like a Real Housewives kind of situation.
Yeah, we could pull a Lena where we're like, I'm still mad at you.
Which one of us makes Hope the AI? That's the real question.
If I had to choose between you two, though, I think I would go for the dancing woods, because I think that montage would just be funny of you two in the woods.
It would be funny. It would be like, "Ooh, a branch." What if we went into this tree stump? Oh, there's a raven in here. There's a lot we could do in that woods. Okay.
Yeah.
Our next
could be
the third witch.
Yes, Sarah could be the third
witch. Is Sarah still there? Does Sarah want to participate in snap judgments?
I think Sarah might still be with us.
Let's see if we can get Sarah.
It sounds like we're communing with her. Sarah's still with us.
We're putting Sarah into the snap judgment, so maybe we should bring Sarah in to defend herself. Okay, so Morgan, do you want to repeat the snap judgment for Sarah so she can determine what she wants to choose?
Sure. Okay, Sarah. What would you rather have happened to you? You try to take down corruption, but then you get betrayed by each other during the trial and are banished forever. Or you both spend your days happily chanting in the woods until you accidentally murder each other as partners, and then you drown in a lake as your only child watches. It's a dark one, so you got to really think about it.
Well, who's the each other?
I think it's all of us here in this chat.
Yeah, I guess everybody in here.
And what was the first option again?
So we're going to try to take down corruption, but then we're going to all betray each other. And then we end up banished forever.
I have to say I'll take the banishment option, because I personally have a fear of drowning. So that kind of
that's not fun.
That kind of does it for me.
The one downside, you start in the woods, but then you end up drowning. So that's kind of a bummer.
Where we start is like my final form. Like that's my ideal lifestyle. It's just in the woods sniffing branches. But I can't do the drowning piece. I think that's where it turns a corner for me.
Also, where are we banished?
I don't know. It could be somewhere better.
It doesn't.
We could be banished to the woods. We could be banished.
We're back. We're back with that branch.
I'm just saying, we could be banished to a rather pleasant place, and we did try to take down corruption.
That's true.
It was a noble cause.
We tried really hard. So I think
just a little bit of betrayal.
Just a bit of betrayal. I mean, that's just going to give us something fun to do in the woods while we're banished. Just some drama.
We have to work through it. We need isn't there a therapist left on the show?
Kelly. We can get Kelly to help us.
We've got a therapist to help us through. It'll be a growing experience for us.
I like it. Okay, so our next one. What was most likely the real reason Lena's mother drowned? Maybe Rebecca doesn't do this one. We'll find out. Okay, she couldn't handle the guilt of thinking she caused the suffering and death of her former best friend, so she walked into the water to stop the pain. Or during a beach picnic with Lena, had a flashback so strong that fire erupted from her hands, and she went into the water to put out the fire and keep Lena safe, but then got a muscle cramp because she just ate food and couldn't swim and to save herself. That's very elaborate, Anna.
Okay, so
They always tell you don't go into the water after within 30 minutes reading.
They do
That's
say
true. You got to digest.
that. Okay, so should we break the first option down?
Sure.
Maybe we need to take it in parts.
Let's take it in parts. Okay, what's the real reason she drowned? So the first part is that she couldn't handle the guilt of thinking she caused the suffering and death of her former best friend. So she walked into the water. The second part, she's on the beach with Lena, but then fire erupts from her hand. So she goes to the water to put it out. But oh no, that cheese sandwich she just ate, and then she has a cramp and she drowns.
Yeah, I don't know if I should choose this one.
Oh, please do.
But I mean, I couldn't get in any more trouble with the internet, even if I wanted to. I think I've hit my peak trouble with Twitter. I guess I would go. I like the idea that she tried to put her hands out in the water. I like that, so I'm going to go with that. The second option.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do the second option too.
I think the second
I
option.
have to protect her.
That one sounds plausible to me.
And also, there was a beach picnic.
That's true. Nice. Yeah, they were having maybe like a little cheese spread. Maybe there's some Sammys involved.
I mean, it does take a gloomy turn there.
It does.
I'm assuming this ends with Lena's mother's death. So that's upsetting.
But before there's a picnic.
Before there's a picnic.
There's cake.
On the beach.
Donuts.
There's cake and donuts.
Another reason not to eat donuts. They should put that in the PSA.
See,
there you go.
I was going to say they're super unhealthy for you, but I think if you connected it to Lena's mother's death, I think that would be definitely a reason not to do it.
Oh, speaking of that, I also love that PSA because I love vegetables. I agreed with you. Then I saw what you said.
Yes.
I also agree with Morgan internally, but agree with you, Rebecca, because I love vegetables.
Vegetables are great.
Donuts are very tasty. Vegetables are way healthier for you. Definitely eat them. Well, Sarah, thank you for hopping back in for some snap judgments. Did you say which one that you wanted? Did you want the beach putting the fire out? Is that where we came down on
Yeah. I believe that feels like the more plausible one to me.
Okay. Well, thank you for chiming in. Thank you for letting us pull you back in to do some snap judgments. We needed your input on that so that we could get that right. All right, we're gonna wrap up snap judgments, and then we'll come back and wrap up the live stream. No judgments on your snap judgments. All right, that is going to do it for this episode of Supergirl Radio, discussing the Supergirl Season 6 episode titled Mixie in the Middle. Anna, thank you so much for coming on Supergirl Radio this week. People in the chat, we're having a great time with you. People loving Anna. If you're in the live chat right now, give Anna some love in the chat. Tell her how much you enjoyed her being here. But we're such big fans of you, Anna. We love your
It was like
snap.
having a celebrity on, really. And we got to do Anna snap judgments with Anna. Hashtag blessed.
I loved being on it. Like, I see you two as celebrities. I'm like, oh my god, I wish I was like Rebecca. I wish I was like super funny like Morgan. I mean, Rebecca was super funny too. But like,
No,
Morgan...
I wish I was super funny like Morgan too. No, I agree.
Rebecca's the organized one. This podcast really literally wouldn't happen without her, because half the time I'm like, what happened in the episode? Rebecca, help.
I remember the first podcast I've heard of yours was the one where Car took off her glasses in the plane, but then put them back on, and I remember listening to like your reaction to it. I was like, I have to listen to all the episodes of this.
I remember that one. Oh, that was such a funny moment.
You were like, I pulled off the couch.
Well, but we have lots of love for you in the chat here. So thank you for being on. Everybody loves Anna and loves your energy, and for coming back and always sending in the snap judgments. So please continue sending in snap judgments because they're so much fun.
I will. I really love the podcast, and I'm glad people like dark snap judgments.
The more twisted, the better, we've discovered.
Whenever there's an Anna snap judgment, we always know we're going on a journey.
Always turns into something really fun. Although one time you did pit podcaster versus podcaster. And that
one was dramatic.
That added a little drama about whether or not we were going to remove each other's memories. That really tested a friendship.
It's like I feel like you guys went on a whole emotional journey there.
We really
have been. We've had a whole arc.
So thank you for your creative snap judgments and for being on and sharing your thoughts about this week's episode, Mixing in the Middle. So maybe we'll have you back on sometime to do some more snap judgments.
All right, definitely.
Well,
maybe
good.
After the finale, seeing what happens, I bet there's more. There's probably more dramatics in like a finale.
I'm sure we're going to have much to talk about after the finale.
We will definitely catch up with you after that to hear your take on that. All right. Well, I think we need to hit some DC TV podcasts and some Supergirl Radio plugs, and we'll be right back. If you would like to contact Supergirl Radio, you can post a comment on our website at supergirlradio.com. You can email us at supergirlradio@gmail.com. If you'd like to leave us a voicemail, you can call us at 678-718-7252. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, all at Supergirl Radio. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Podchaser, and Spotify, where we also have a Spotify playlist that includes music featured on and inspired by the CW's Supergirl TV series. We are listed on DC's fan page, which you can find at dccomics.com/DC-fans. If you like what we do, we encourage you to give us a rating and write us a review on Apple Podcasts. If you enjoy our Supergirl Radio live streams, make sure to subscribe to the DC TV Podcast YouTube channel and hit that notification bell to get notified when we go live and wired. DC TV Podcast also has a TeePublic store, so if you're in need of new DC TV related t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, onesies, mugs, notebooks, pillows, or stickers, go to supergirlradio.com and click on the TeePublic store link at the top of the page.
Supergirl Radio, Superman and Lois Radio, The Flash Podcast, and Legends of Tomorrow Podcast, Black Lightning Podcast, Batwoman Podcast 2, and Titans and Doom Patrol Podcast just for you. Justice League Dark Podcast, Green Lantern Podcast, Stargirl Podcast, Strange Adventures Podcast, and finally my favorite of the bunch, DC TV After Dark, where you're allowed to say fuck.
You should watch DC TV After Dark with Sarah and Morgan and learn about all the things that you can say on that.
We have no limits.
The only rules are that there are no rules. Well, Morgan, would you like to tell people about the TeePublic store?
I would love to. Speaking of the TCTV podcast, TeePublic store, which we just were, we've got a so natural the way I'm doing it. We've got a mixy design that you can get on a pillow, a t-shirt, a sticker, a mask, or a tank top. So get your mixy merch.
I mean, I personally would fall asleep on a Mixed Pillow. I think
I like
great.
the pillow. Yeah. The pillow's definitely
I like
clutch.
the blue. And the
yeah. It's really good. I like that. So I definitely need more Mixie merch in my personal wardrobe myself. Well, we would like to thank our legion of super sponsors that's helped support the podcast through the Supergirl Radio Patreon. Those people are Michael, Sam, Anne-Marie, Grout, Yvonne, Quinn, Jessica, Nicola, Leslie, Susan, Abby, Erngard, Miriam, Shree, Donna, Nicole, Lizeth, Deb, Zibihung Xiao, and Anna. So thank you all for supporting the podcast. If you would like to do that, you can go to patreon.com/Supergirl Radio. We have 4 monthly levels, and it just gives you a little extra Supergirl Radio in your week. So if you want some more of us, go to patreon.com/Supergirl Radio and sign up to be a Legion of Super sponsor. Legion, I guess you could join the Legion of Super Sponsors. I said that
One of
strangely.
One of us. Join us. Speaking of joining us, for maybe you would like to join us for a contest, and we're still running our Flat Supergirl photography contest. And so to enter, you can just download and print the Flat Supergirl image, which you can find in the video description of this live stream, in the show notes of the audio podcast, or on the right-hand side of supergirlradio.com. Then you're just going to want to cut her out. You're going to want to cut Flat Supergirl out and attach her like with a popsicle stick or a pen or a pencil. And then this is where your imagination can really like take flight. And you can really do whatever you want with Flat Supergirl. You can take her places. You can maybe you just want to hang out on the couch and watch Netflix with Flat Supergirl. We're not going to stop you from doing that. You can do that, but you want to make sure that you take a picture, because you're going to want to post this picture, as many as you'd like, so you guys can go on like a whole adventure, going like cross country maybe with just Flat Supergirl in the passenger seat. But you post those pictures to Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and tag at Supergirl Radio, and use the hashtag Supergirl Adventures. And you've got until the series finale in November.
Yeah, so we've got a couple more months. Some fun things are probably going to be coming up in the fall. There's football games happening. Halloween is coming up.
Maybe Flat Supergirl wants to go apple picking or pumpkin picking.
Yeah.
I bet she could get all the ones at the top of the tree because she can fly.
Take her to
I
go
have
look
some
at fall
pictures
colors.
that I haven't sent in.
Oh,
nice.
Well, please do, so that we can see your pictures, because we definitely need to see more of what Flat Supergirl is up to this fall. All right. Let's see. Where are we in the doc? I guess I could tell you about following me if you want to. You can find me on Instagram at the Derby Kid. I post the occasional picture over there. I'm also on YouTube at DuckMilkProd, youtube.com/DuckMilkProd. I do a live stream at 4 p.m. Eastern on most Sundays, reading reviews from the top critics of Rotten Tomatoes about Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. I've gone through several of them now, and it's getting harder to do it.
What? You don't want to read negative reviews about a thing you like? This is I don't know, this doesn't make sense to me.
It's getting harder because I feel like my IQ points, not that I had a lot to begin with, but I feel like I'm losing some of them. And that's becoming a little bit frustrating. So I need to keep myself in check. My goal is to do it very civil, to do it with a lot of friendly atmosphere. We're all just, talking about film. And so I don't want to be mean to anyone, which is getting increasingly harder to do. So I have to keep myself.
So if I tune in towards the end, am I going to see like Rebecca, like Unchained?
I'm just like, my hands are going to be flailing. My voice is going to be raised. It's going to be a whole thing. I might walk out of my own live stream.
You can have a villain arc. It's okay.
Oh yeah.
This is my villain origin story.
It's like
I would support
she
villain
did it
Rebecca.
to herself. I feel like villain Rebecca would wear like a lot of like really big dramatic coats, and I like
high collars. Yeah,
high collars all the way.
We'll see what happens when I get to the end. We'll check back in on live stream Rebecca and see how she's doing.
Nice. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Mojotastic. Most of my Instagram is just going to be wedding photos, so enjoy that, I guess. And yeah, there's some good ones. I actually got all my wedding photos like last week, and Mike was like, "We can't look through them again. We've looked through them too many." And I was like, "But I want to." So get ready. I'm just going to keep posting them. I'm like, it's still happening for me. You can also find me on the as a co-host on DC TV After Dark. At DC TV After Dark, anything can happen, including eventually doing an episode, which we promise we're gonna do pretty soon. I think. But yeah, so at DC TV After Dark, it's a little bit more open of a podcast in that we curse, and sometimes we just talk about random stuff. So sometimes it's about DC stuff. Sometimes it veers wildly off topic. You just never know what you're going to get. And you can also find me as a co-host on Legends of Tomorrow podcast. The season just ended. It's kind of like the queen is dead, long live the queen kind of situation where the new season starts in just a month, I think. So we have a fun hiatus that's not a hiatus at all. We'll be releasing our episode about the last 2 episodes because I was off on my wedding honeymoon, and there were vacations involved. So we're just kind of wrapping up the season. Then we're going to do our usual OWL rating system stolen from Harry Potter on the season. And then we're going to take like a 1 week break and then right back at it. I'm so mad at the schedule.
Not much of a hiatus, but enjoy it while it's there. Because alternatively, you could have no show.
Yeah, I know. That's true. And Legends is it's getting a little old now.
It's aging.
Every season seems like it could be the last one. And then they're like, no, we're starting the new season in 2 days.
That is wild. Well, I look forward to listening to the podcast, even though I don't watch the show. So I have no idea when the episodes are airing, but I do see it when the podcasts show up in my podcast app. So I appreciate your hard work on the podcast.
Anna, is there anywhere the people can find you? Anything you want to plug?
In the shadows. That thing you see when you wake up in the middle of the night, there's like a shadow. Yeah. No, not any social media. But maybe I'll make one and just have that. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely let us know if there's anything that we can point people to. But I kind of like that you're like a mysterious character on the internet.
I know.
I almost think you need to keep that reputation. I like that a lot.
Anna just emerges from the shadows, says something really funny, and then just goes back into the shadows.
I actually like that mystique. You should keep that. Try to rein that in as much as you can.
Put some blue eyeshadow on.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to. It doesn't work without it. You definitely have to get that. Well, I think that is going to do it for this episode of Supergirl Radio. But until next time, I'm still Rebecca Johnson.
And I'm still Morgan Glennon. And nobody puts Mixie in a crystal on our watch.
I think the CW are just trying to win the time slot war with Supergirl Radio.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Oh no.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom. Because
she looks like a boss in this coat.
Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. It's so fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Yeah!